Chapter 1675. The Dong'an Province. Father, what do we do next? Do we have to force Mo Yin to marry that young master for the clan? Xiyu asked. Her face was filled with sorrow and helplessness. She had watched Mo Yin grow up, so the two of them were like sisters. She really did not wish to see Mo Yin marry the young master of the Atomo's sword sect. She would not have cared if Mo Yin liked the young master, but she completely disliked him. She loathed him. The patriarch of the Mo clan stood by the window as he stared outside. His gaze was deep, and he said, Let's try to persuade Yenner. If Yenner really insists on refusing, we'll give up on the marriage. Father, then what do we do if the Lu family and the Ando clan band together against us? Xiyu asked in worry. A determined gleam of light immediately flashed through the patriarch's eyes with that. He said coldly, The Lu family and Ando clan want to band together against us. Although part of the reason is because of your talent, so they want to prevent you from becoming a god, the main reason is still this treasure. This treasure has been secretly kept by our three clans for so many years. Since they want to break the rules and obtain our part of it, we can only go down together with them. Since they don't want us to obtain their part, we can't let them obtain our part either. With that, Xiyu became startled. She stared at the patriarch in disbelief and said, Father, are you going to? Correct. Once the news about God King Duanmu's jade breaks out, you should know what kind of uproar would result from it. At that time, let alone all the clans in the Dong'an province, even the countless experts across the entire divine kingdom of Pingtian will rush over. Who do the Lu family and Ando clan think they are in the face of all those high-level clans? I just hope that the Lu family and Ando clan won't force me to do that. Jianchen healed slowly in the Mo clan. Although he did not possess any status in the Mo clan, he did not mind at all. In his eyes, the Mo clan was just a stop for him. He planned on leaving once Xinjian healed. Xinjian only slowly woke up 3 days later. Very soon he understood the situation from Jianchen. Then he immediately devoted himself to healing. During that period of time, Mo Yin had delivered some medicine. Although they were not extremely effective, Jianchen still accepted them. Before using them all on Xinjian, so that he could heal faster, Jianchen learnt some basic information about the region he was in from Mo Yin as Xinjian healed. In the surrounding radius of 10 million kilometers, there were a total of 4 major organizations. The 4 organizations were the Mo clan, Lu family, Ando clan, and Atomo's sword sect. Each organization possessed an ancestor who was a god and reigned across a large expanse of land. There were various smaller clans in the lands, all subsidiaries of the 4 organizations. They would offer up some treasures or various resources every 1,000 years. Beyond the Mo clan, Lu family, Ando clan, and Atomo's sword sect was the Dong'an province. The Dong'an province was the name of the region, spanning a range of several hundred million kilometers. The 4 organizations all belonged to the Dong'an province. Jianchen, can you ask which plane this is among the 49 major planes of the Saints' world? Or which major planet it is of the 81 major planets? Fairy Haoyu's voice rang out in Jianchen's head. Jianchen immediately asked Mo Yin, but she became confused after she heard the question. She said, What 49 major planes? And what are these 81 major planets? I've never heard of them. Looks like she doesn't know much. She doesn't even know about the 49 planes and 81 planets. It looks like we'll have to ask the patriarch of the Mo clan if we want to know where we are. Or even ask that god in the Mo clan. Only after confirming where we are can I find where the moon god hall is. Fairy Haoyu said regretfully. At the same time, only several tens of million kilometers away in the Lu family, the ancestor of the Lu family sat there as he healed with lingering fear. His pale face was completely sunken. The treasure of my Lu family isn't that easy to steal. It doesn't matter who is behind you. I'll never forgive you. And that traitor Lu Fei. If it were not for the fact that your soul was wiped out, I definitely would have siphoned away your soul and tortured you in the most brutal method possible. The ancestor of the Lu family said through gritted teeth. He radiated with a heavy killing intent. Suddenly, the ancestor raised his hand and began drawing on the ground. Very soon he drew Jianchen and Xinjian's appearances according to his memory. At the same time, he dripped a droplet of blood into Jianchen and Xinjian's images. Immediately, their presences appeared on the images. The blood came from the battle a few days ago when their blood had splashed onto the ancestor of the Liu family. He made use of the blood right now and made it into something crucial to finding the two of them. Very soon, the ancestor of the Liu family dug up the tablet of stone with their images from the ground. With a wave of his hand, the tablet was taken out of the room. At the same time, he said in a dignified voice, "Send everyone everywhere to find traces of these two people. Once you find any news, report to me immediately." "Yes, ancestor." A heavy voice rang out from outside, and a black figure left with the stone tablet. He used a special secret technique to replicate many versions of the tablet, and every single one of them possessed Jianxin and Xinjian's presences. In the saints' world, differentiating people did not just require knowing the appearance, but the presence as well. This was as the population in the saints' world was just too tremendous. There were obviously quite a few people who seemed exactly the same, so when that happened, presence was needed to distinguish between different people. Humans had the presence of humans, demons had the presence of demons, and immortals obviously had the presence of immortals. Everyone had a different presence, so there was no need to worry about finding the wrong person. Ando clan, Mo clan, and the Otomo sword sect. I don't wish the person behind the duo to be any of you, or I'll definitely wipe out your entire clan. Even if the people behind the two of them are one of the more powerful clans in the Dong'an province, I won't let you have it either, the ancestor of the Liu family said in a gruff voice. Afterwards, a jade bottle immediately appeared with a flip of his hand. The ancestor became conflicted as he stared at the jade bottle. He murmured, "I'm very heavily injured. I've injured my very foundation, so even high-grade pills won't allow me to recover without a lot of time. If I don't heal quickly, it might even leave behind permanent, future problems. It looks like I can only consume this pill earlier than I planned. God damn it, this is the most valuable thing I obtained from God King Duanmu's tomb." Chapter 1676. Xinjian steps into godhood. The ancestor of the Liu family stared at the jade bottle for quite some time before he opened it in a pained manner. He poured out a white pill the size of an eye. The entire room immediately became filled with a heavy fragrance with its appearance. Just a whiff of it was enough for people to clear their minds and feel at ease, filling them with a comfortable feeling all over. Clearly, the pill was of a very high grade. Just the fragrance it gave off demonstrated some recovery effects. The effects would be even more evident if it was consumed. The ancestor of the Liu family looked at the white pill in his hand reluctantly before closing his eyes and consuming it without any more hesitation. When he consumed it, his heart throbbed. He had always treated the pill as something that he could use to save his own life, because the pill was of an extremely high grade. It would even possess the effects to bring him, a god, back from near death. It was equivalent to a second life, so he did not want to waste it like this. The government of the Dong'an province reigned over the surrounding 100 million kilometers. They possessed an extremely high status, and all the clans in their territory had to offer up items periodically. There was a tremendous city erected on a vast expanse of flat land in the very center of the Dong'an province. The city was immensely majestic, where its city walls stood several hundred meters tall. From afar, it seemed like a screen that was connected to the sky, while the walls stretched as far as the eyes could see. This city was the provincial city of the Dong'an province, and it was also called Dong'an. The 7 capital cities on the Tianyuan continent were ants in comparison to the city. They were on 2 completely different levels. The provincial city was representative of the Dong'an province. Basically, most of the clans that possessed a certain amount of power resided in the city, leading to quite some complicated politics between the clans. No one knew just how many clans were in the city. At this moment, a middle-aged man with a dignified appearance dressed in luxurious clothes sat within a grand hall. He drank tea at ease within a huge manor in the city. He was being served politely by 2 female servants. Jean-Yi greets the patriarch. At this moment, a black-clothed man appeared silently before the middle-aged man, and said politely. A gleam of light flashed through the middle-aged man's eyes with Jean-Yi's appearance. Even with his mental fortitude, he could not help but waver inside. A sliver of eagerness and anticipation appeared in his eyes. He dismissed the two female servants before he cautiously cast down a barrier around them. Only then did he say, "Zhani, have you obtained it? Have you dealt with Lu Fei?" Patriarch, I've remained at the agreed location for several days, and I haven't seen Lu Fei at all, Zhani replied politely. What? The middle-aged man's face sank and his gaze sharpened in that instance. He said heavily, "Have you heard anything from the Lu family?" Patriarch, the matter of Lu Fei's betrayal has been broadcasted from the Lu family, but Lu Fei didn't seem to escape. He seemed to have been killed by the ancestor of the Lu family, replied Zhani. Lu Fei is useless. I gave him the formation disc that was enough to keep an early god trapped for 2 days. It was more than enough for him to escape to where we would meet up. Lu Tian still caught him in the end. Not only have I wasted such a valuable formation disc, but the Lu family is cautious now as well. It has become even more difficult to obtain that thing from the Lu family now. The middle-aged man was flustered. Originally as the patriarch, it was impossible for him to lose his composure. However, Lu Fei's matter was just too important to him. So he struggled to remain calm. After a moment of hesitance, Zhani continued, Patriarch, I've also discovered another matter. Recently, the Lu family has sent out a large number of people to look for 2 unknown people secretly. Zhani passed a drawing to the middle-aged man and said, I obtained this from killing a clansman of the Lu family. The middle-aged man unfurled the drawing and had a look. It depicted Jianchen and Xinjian. After a moment of silence, the middle-aged man ordered Zhani, go find out why the Lu family is looking for these 2 people. Additionally, arrange people to pay attention to all movements from the Lu family. Remember to move secretly. We can't afford other organizations in the Dong'an province to discover what we're doing. This one understands. What about the Mo clan and the Ando clan? Zhani asked. We've even failed with the Lu family, which we had the greatest confidence in. If we move against the Mo clan and the Ando clan, our chances of success will be even lower. It's fine that we failed though. I am only worried that it'll raise the attention of other organizations in the Dong'an province. Once we cause too much activity, it'll be awful for us, so there's no need to hurry about the Mo clan and Ando clan. Shenjian currently sat on the stone bed in the servants' quarters. Meanwhile, Jianchen sat beside him as he went through Lu Fei's space ring. There was quite a lot of things in Lu Fei's space ring, but most of them were cheap items useless to Jianchen. After Fairy Haoyu inspected a few of the items, they were all regarded as low quality or just subpar materials. They were not worth a single dime. However, Jianchen did find some useful things. He took away all the medicinal pills of lower grades from Lu Fei's space ring. He also found some truth tier cultivation methods and battle skills, as well as Lu Fei's personal notes for cultivation. Jianchen only glanced through Lu Fei's notes before deeming them as trash. He threw them away. The truth tier cultivation methods and battle skills were useless to Jianchen as well, as they were only of the 1st grade. That was the lowest grade among the truth tier. Jianchen, you can't go without divine crystals in the saint's world. Divine crystals are condensed from the purest origin energy. Not only can they be used for cultivation, but they're also a form of currency in the saint's world. You can use these useless cultivation methods and battle skills to exchange for some divine crystals. Fairy Haoyu's voice rang out in Jianchen's head. Divine crystals? Jianchen's interest was piqued when he heard that. He immediately threw the cultivation methods aside, and with a flip of his hand, he removed a thumb-sized crystal from Lu Fei's space ring. The crystal glimmered with light as it hit some pure origin energy. Is this the divine crystals you're speaking of? Jianchen asked. Correct, that's a divine crystal. Divine crystals are split into supreme grade, high grade, mid grade, and low grade. The one in your hand is only a low grade divine crystal, said Fairy Haoyu. Jianchen looked through Lu Fei's space ring carefully and discovered 1,000 low-grade divine crystals. There was not a single mid-grade divine crystal. At this moment, Jianchen's face changed. He removed a square box from Lu Fei's space ring and scrutinized it. He had no idea what the box's material was. It was extremely tough, and it was covered with formations, radiating with powerful pulses of energy. The box was so tough that even gods would struggle to break through its defenses. What's inside this box? Is it the treasure of the Liu family? Jianchen said as he examined the box. However, at this very moment, a powerful pulse of energy suddenly appeared from beside him. With it was a presence that surged. Joy flickered through Jianchen's eyes. He shoved the box back into his space ring casually and exited the room instantly with a flash. Soon after Jianchen left the room, a layer of formations appeared around the servants' quarters. They were ordinary formations, cast down to protect the structure there. They possessed a certain level of toughness, where even late reciprocity experts were unable to smash through them. However, just when the formations appeared, they immediately began to collapse and shatter. Afterwards, the quarters where Jianchen stayed in was reduced to dust from a powerful pulse of energy, revealing Xinjian who sat on the stone bed. Xinjian had finally begun to break through to godhood after healing. Chapter 1677. Shaking up the Mo clan. The powerful presence and ripples of energy from Xinjian's breakthrough spread across the entire Mo clan, shocking everyone present. At that moment, whether it was the lowly servants or the prestigious members of the upper echelon, they all put down what they were doing and looked in Xinjian's direction. Uncontainable envy and joy appeared on their faces. It's godhood, it's godhood. Our clan actually has someone else who has broken through to godhood. This is fantastic. With every expert at godhood, our clan will become slightly stronger. Many members of the upper echelon voiced their surprise and joy as they flew towards Xinjian. Aside from the patriarch's residence in the Mo clan, 6 other halls were equally majestic. Every single hall had Origin Realm experts as guards. The presence of Origin Realm experts as guards was more than enough to indicate the incredibly high statuses of the owners of the halls. They were the godhood experts of the Mo clan, as well as the elders of the clan. At that moment, the eyes of the 6 elders in the clan snapped open simultaneously. They all looked towards Xinjian's direction in interest. One of the females among them was Shiyu. There's actually someone who has attained godhood. Fantastic, our Mo clan has gained another elder. I wonder who has broken through, Shiyu murmured, before immediately standing up and making her way outside. She wanted to see who was breaking through. The 5 other elders at godhood emerged from the 5 other halls with Shiyu. It was quite a significant matter to the clan for someone to reach godhood. After all, there were only a few godhood experts with the entire clan in perspective, even when including the patriarch. As a result, the birth of each godhood expert was a joyous occasion for the Mo clan. That's strange. Why does the presence of the person breaking through come from that direction? If I remember correctly, that's the servants' quarters. The elders who had just emerged became doubtful, because even early reciprocity cultivators possessed their own space to cultivate in the Mo clan. It was impossible for them to be arranged to the servants' quarters. Godhood experts, even just deities, were elders in the Mo clan. They were peak experts, while the Origin Realm cultivators formed the main force in the clan. Even though many Origin Realm experts did not possess any particular status, it was impossible for them to be arranged to live in the servants' quarters. Shiyu stared in Xinjian's direction, and a thought popped into her head. She immediately became doubtful, and her face showed some disbelief. She thought, it can't be him, right? Sister Shiyu, has someone broken through to godhood? Fantastic. Our clan has gained another godhood expert. Sister Shiyu, let's go see which uncle's broken through. Mo Yin ran over from afar excitedly. Joy filled her face. Shiyu nodded before making her way in Xinjian's direction doubtfully with Mo Yin. By now, a large number of people had already gathered around Xinjian. There were servants, guards, as well as a few members of the upper echelon who managed to make it over first. They all stood in the distance silently. All their gazes were fixated on Xinjian. They all revealed a look of surprise on their faces. The members of the upper echelon, in particular, felt extremely confused inside. Old Joe, who is this? Why have I never seen him before? And he lives in the servants' quarters. Since he has so much strength, why does he live there? I was thinking of asking you the exact same thing, but you beat me to it. A godhood expert has actually appeared in the servants' area. If word makes it out. Many of the authoritative members communicated with each other secretly. They stared at Shen Jian in amazement, as they were filled with questions. Jianchen stood to one side with his arms crossed. He had managed to make his way into the crowd, so he did not raise too much attention. However, he was currently completely focused on Shen Jian. He silently observed the movements in the surroundings. If there were anyone brave enough to get in the way of Shen Jian's breakthrough, he would move without any hesitation against them. Very soon, the 6 godhood experts of the Mo clan arrived as well. With their arrival, the surrounding people parted to create a path for them. They all looked towards them politely, and even a few of the authoritative members of the clan behaved in the same manner. Ah, isn't he the person I saved? How can he be the one breaking through to godhood? Mo Yan's mouth immediately dropped in shock when she saw the person breaking through was Shen Jian. Disbelief filled her face. She said nothing. She looked at Shen Jian with mixed emotions. She had never thought that Shen Jian would break through to godhood. Although she had already discerned Shen Jian's strength to be at the peak of reciprocity when Mo Yan saved Shen Jian and Jianchen initially, she did not take it to heart. This was because there was a wall that was extremely difficult to overcome between the origin realm and godhood. Comprehending the laws of the world to obtain the key to godhood was countless times more difficult than going from sainthood to the origin realm. Even among 100 peak reciprocity experts, there would rarely be a single person who could reach godhood. It was exactly because of the difficulty that Xiyu did not pay particular attention to Shen Jian's cultivation level, as there were plenty of peak reciprocity experts in their Mo clan. The 5 other godhood elders of the Mo clan looked around. A strange expression covered all their faces. One of them, a burly, bare-chested man, watched everything unfold with no idea how to react. He smiled gently. I never thought that the sir who has just broken through would live here. What a surprise! The patriarch of the Mo clan arrived as well. He knew about Jianchen and Shen Jian's existences. Originally, he had only allowed them to stay temporarily at the clan because of his beloved daughter, and he would get them to leave after they recovered. But now that Shen Jian had broken through, the patriarch began to feel conflicted. However, he made up his mind very soon, and determination flowed through his eyes. If it was just a peak reciprocity expert, his clan could afford to ignore him, but his clan had to try to rope him to their side if it was a godhood expert. Whether it was the patriarch or the 6 elders, they all remained by Shen Jian's side as he broke through. They watched over him without taking a single step away. No one left, nor did they cause any activity to disturb Shen Jian. Jianchen saw this in the crowd, and he could not help but nod secretly. However, he remained just as cautious as before, ready to protect Shen Jian during his breakthrough. Chapter 1678. Roping them in several hours later. Shen Jian's breakthrough finally came to a close successfully. As his powerful presence was gradually withdrawn, he suddenly snapped open his eyes. The moment Shen Jian snapped open his eyes, a light flashed through his eyes. It bore an extremely sharp sword intent. When the 6 elders of the Mo clan saw it, their hearts all trembled uncontrollably without any exception. Shen Jian's gaze alone made them feel pressured. The patriarch of the Mo clan's eyes suddenly narrowed as well. His gaze towards Shen Jian underwent a drastic change as well. There was some sternness. This person is strong. Although he has only just broken through to early deity, there are probably very few early deities who are his opponent, thought the patriarch. Before Shen Jian could say anything, the Mo clan patriarch clasped his fist towards Shen Jian with a smile and said, I am the patriarch of the Mo clan, Mo Yan. Congratulations, brother Shen Jian, on breaking through to godhood. From today onwards, our Dong'an province has gained a new godhood expert. The Mo clan patriarch spoke extremely politely. Coupled with his current expression and attitude, people who had no idea really would have believed that the patriarch and Shen Jian had met each other long ago and were quite close. Shen Jian responded to the patriarch by clasping his fist. You flatter me, patriarch. There are quite a lot of godhood experts in the Dong'an province. I'm only someone who has reached godhood recently, so I'm nothing worth mentioning. I am sure I have caused quite some trouble with my brother over the past few days, by recovering in your clan. The patriarch shrugged and said without caring much at all. What trouble? Brother Shen Jian is too polite. It was just that my daughter Yenner isn't very sensible. She actually did not even notify me of your visit, so I couldn't receive you properly." As he said that, he glared at Mo Yen. Mo Yen stuck out her tongue and pulled a face at the patriarch. However, she was ecstatic inside. She had never thought that she would do the same thing as her father and save a godhood expert from outside. Xinjian and the patriarch spoke some more. The patriarch became stern and said, "I truly am sorry for failing to receive you properly. May I ask Brother Xinjian which sect or clan you come from? That way, I can visit you in the future and personally make it up to you." Both Jianchun and Xinjian understood that the patriarch was probing into their backgrounds when they heard this question. "I may have to disappoint the patriarch. We've only arrived in the Saints' world recently, so we don't belong to any organization," replied Xinjian. The patriarch was surprised inside. He asked in amazement, "You've come to the Saints' world recently? Does that mean you came from a lower world?" "Correct," Xinjian replied. Shiyu's eyes narrowed, clearly suspicious. The other godhood elders looked towards Xinjian in surprise as well. The patriarch was overjoyed. He clasped his fist towards Jianchun and Xinjian and said, "If you are satisfied with my clan, why don't you stay in my clan for now? Although my clan isn't very big, we do have a god. And we have a stable footing in the Dong'an province." Jianchun had never considered staying in the Mo clan for any longer. Now that Xinjian had recovered and reached godhood, he was already prepared to leave the Mo clan with Xinjian. Just when he wanted to decline the patriarch's invitation to stay, Xinjian cut him off. "The two of us just happen to have nowhere to go. At the same time, we're unfamiliar with the Saints' world, so if the patriarch doesn't mind, we can only trouble you for a few days longer." The patriarch was overjoyed inside. He clasped his hands without minding it at all. "It's not a problem. It's not a problem at all. It's not a problem no longer how long Brother Xinjian and Jianchun plan on staying in our Mo clan." Just like that, Xinjian and Jianchun settled down in the Mo clan temporarily. Now that Xinjian had reached godhood, his status was completely different from before. In order to show how much he cared for Xinjian, the patriarch erected a seventh majestic hall in the Mo clan as a place for Xinjian to cultivate. Only elders in the Mo clan usually own such a hall. Apart from that, the patriarch also arranged a group of Origin Realm experts as guards around his hall. Of course, he was not trying to spy on them. Rather, he wanted to emphasize Xinjian's superior status in the clan as a godhood expert. Jianchun and Xinjian sat in front of each other within the seventh hall of the Mo clan. "I originally planned on leaving once you healed and go roam the outside world. But why did you choose to stay? Our comprehension of laws far exceeds our cultivation level. So our strength can be increased drastically as long as we have enough resources. Staying in the Mo clan will only delay our cultivation," Jianchun asked in confusion. Every step after reaching godhood required the comprehension of laws. Both his and Xinjian's way of the sword had reached the major achievement of sword origin, which was enough for them to become gods without any obstructions at all. They only lacked resources. Although they could increase their strength from absorbing the origin energy in the surroundings, their strength would progress at a much slower pace. "Jianchun, I chose to remain in the Mo clan because there are still people waiting for us in the lower world. Aside from increasing our strength, we have to gain a proper footing in the Saints' world during the 10 millennia we spend here, so that we can pave a path for anyone else who comes up later on. The Mo clan is not a bad place for us to start," said Xinjian. He looked towards Jianchun and continued, "At the same time, the problem on you still remains. Once you lose your mind, you won't be able to tell friend from foe. I won't be able to stop you, and I might even die at your hands." Jianchun fell silent with that. He thought of the people waiting for him in the lower world. Not only were there his wives, but there was also his parents and his various good friends. Although he could come across a few fortuitous encounters by roaming the outside world, his life would also be in danger. He could die at any time. He did not mind dying, but if he died, it would become even more difficult for his wives and parents to survive once they came to the Saints' world. Apart from that, the lives of Shengguan Mu'er newbies Xiaoling, Xiaojin, the White Tiger, Ruijin, Honglian, Heiyu, and so on in the Bright Moon Divine Hall all lay with him. His death might also cause them to die. Jianchen sighed inside. With a flip of his hand, a space ring appeared in his hand. He took out all the low-grade divine crystals that he had obtained from Lu Fei and said, "If I want my chaotic body to break through again, I need a tremendous amount of energy. These divine crystals are useless to me, so you take them. We have to raise our strength as fast as possible right now." Shen Jian picked up the thumb-sized crystals and sensed the pure origin energy inside. His eyes immediately lit up, and he said, "If there are enough divine crystals, I'll be able to reach mid-deity in a short amount of time." Chapter 1679, Maple Leaf City. You should require quite a lot of divine crystals to reach mid-deity. It shouldn't be easy to gather so much in a short period of time, Jianchen said as he pondered. Then he took out a few old scrolls and said, "Apart from these divine crystals, I found some truth-tier cultivation methods and battle skills in Lu Fei's space ring, but they're all of the first grade. Have a look if you need them." Shen Jian glanced past the scrolls and said, "They're useless to me if they're only of the first grade. Let's get rid of them. We should be able to exchange some divine crystals for them." "That was what I was planning. I've already done some research. There's quite a large city a few million kilometers away from the Mo clan. Let's sell these items tomorrow and get as many divine crystals as we can. Let's increase your strength as much as possible, and then go to the Lu family," said Jianchen. "The Lu family? You plan to wipe them out?" Shen Jian asked. The two of them had almost died at the hands of the Lu family ancestor a few days ago, so he also bore hatred toward the Lu family. "The origins of my twin swords are beyond ordinary. Once the news that I possess the two swords spreads across the saints' world, I'll be doomed. During the battle against the ancestor of the Lu family, I used the swords against him when I lost my mind, so I have to kill the ancestor to stop him from spreading the news about my two swords," Jianchen said coldly. Shen Jian nodded as if he understood. He could not help but think of the two swords Jianchen carried on his back in the past. He felt extremely curious about them. He had no idea just how special the two simple-looking swords were, to actually make Jianchen act so careful. The next day, a vehicle capable of flight, which was several hundred meters long, slowly rose up from the Mo clan and shot off into the distance. Jianchen and Shen Jian stood beside each other with their arms crossed on the deck of the vehicle. They studied the vehicle with interest. There were several dozen guards on the vehicle apart from them. They were all at the origin realm. They were scattered across the vehicle, all filled with caution. The flying cultivators that they came across from time to time immediately showed fear and envy when they saw the setup of the vehicle. Without any hesitation, they avoided the vehicle. Originally, Jianchen and Shen Jian planned to directly fly over to the city, but after learning that they planned to go out, the patriarch convinced them to use this vehicle. Not only was this vehicle capable of moving very fast, but it did not consume origin energy for travel. More importantly, riding the vehicle would further emphasize their identities. Using this for travel really is convenient. It's completely steered using formations, and it replenishes its energy by absorbing the origin energy in the surroundings automatically. During times of need, it can even activate a second set of formations and move even faster by burning divine crystals. Even deities would struggle to match its speed. Shen Jian studied the vehicle and said a word of praise. "This vehicle is not cheap. Even though it's only a first-grade saint artifact, I heard from Mo Yen that it's over 100 times more expensive than other saint artifacts of the same grade. The entire Mo clan only has 2 such saint artifacts," said Jianchen. His gaze became filled with desire. If he possessed a high-grade vehicle, would that mean that even god kings would struggle to catch up to him? It would be a treasure for fleeing. Of course, Jianchen could only afford to think about it. High-grade vehicles would be incredibly expensive. There was no way he could purchase one. At the very least, he did not have the wealth for one right now. Maple Leaf City was the only large city in the surrounding radius of several tens of million kilometers. It was only a few million kilometers away from the Mo clan. Jianchen and Shen Jian arrived outside Maple Leaf City very soon. They parked the vehicle from the Mo clan outside the city and got the several dozen guards to watch over it. The two of them entered Maple Leaf City without taking any guards with them. Maple Leaf City was huge. The entire city took up an area equal to the Jesson Kingdom on the Tianyuan continent. On such a large piece of land, many clans of various sizes had obviously appeared, dividing up all the land in the city. Before he had come, Jianchen obtained a map of the city from the Mo clan, so he knew how the shops were divided in the city very well. As soon as they entered the city, they followed the busy main street and headed directly toward the center of the city. Many people sat on the sides of the street, laying out a few low-quality items. Various calls constantly rang out. Of course, the people who set up stalls on the streets of Maple Leaf City were not particularly powerful. Almost all of them were sainthood experts, and only other sainthood experts would use their items at most. Many shops would not buy such low-level items. As Jianchen and Xinjian made their way towards the center of the city, they would enter a few shops from time to time. Through the comparison of prices, they gained a rough understanding of how much their truth-tier cultivation methods and battle skills were worth. But to their joy, first-grade truth-tier cultivation methods were actually worth 10,000 low-grade divine crystals. The value of battle skills was even greater, reaching into the several tens of thousands. The value of these items surprised them. In the end, Jianchen sold the cultivation methods and battle skills at a shop called Maple Leaf Pavilion. He obtained a total of over 100,000 low-grade divine crystals. At this moment, Jianchen's eyes narrowed. He saw an immortal artifact sword. Even though it was only of the lowest grade, it had caught Jianchen's interest. "Do you have any mid-grade saint artifact flying swords for sale?" Jianchen asked. A sliver of surprise flashed through the old man's eyes that Jianchen had just done business with. He studied Jianchen and Xinjian secretly and smiled. "We, the Maple Leaf Pavilion, are the largest group of shops in Maple Leaf City. We naturally have mid-grade saint artifact flying swords, and we have two of them. One is of the 4th grade, while the other is of the 5th. Do you wish to purchase one?" Saint artifacts were the same as immortal artifacts, possessing 3 divisions. Saint artifacts ranging from the 1st to 3rd grades were low quality, 4th to 6th grades were medium quality, while 7th to 9th grades were high quality. Apart from that, a few saint artifacts that had exceeded the 9th grade, but had not reached the level of god artifacts were known as supreme quality saint artifacts. Chapter 1680. Movements exposed. "Let's see the 2 flying swords first," Jianchen said calmly. He was unable to use his twin swords in the saint's world, so he had to prepare another sword. Only like that could he muster all his strength. Although the twin swords were of extraordinary origins, they were not of a particularly high quality, due to the lack of materials. They had barely reached medium-quality immortal artifacts. As such, if he used another medium-quality saint artifact, it would not affect his strength. "Sir, we do have medium-quality saint artifacts, but the price..." The old man behind the counter looked at Jianchen hesitantly. Jianchen and Xinjian had even sold him first-grade truth-tier cultivation methods and battle skills. Just that was enough for him to tell that the two of them were not rich. How could they afford a medium-quality saint artifact? Even if they took a look, it would just be a waste of a look. Most importantly, he was unable to do anything about the matter, as the manager of Maple Leaf Pavilion was required to show them the medium-quality saint artifacts. Jianchen's face sank slightly, and his gaze immediately sharpened. He asked, "Are there requirements for just having a look at your medium-quality saint artifacts?" The old man immediately jerked from Jianchen's sharp gaze. Even his face changed drastically, becoming rather pale. He felt that Jianchen's gaze was like 2 extremely sharp swords. He felt like he had become surrounded by swords just from the gaze, making him feel a slight prickle all over him. It was like thousands of swords would pierce him with just a slight movement. "Sir, please calm down, please calm down. I'll go ask the manager, as the medium-quality saint artifacts are stored on the highest floor of our pavilion. There are many formations there. Only the manager has the right to take you up there," the old man said with a trembling voice. His forehead had already become drenched with cold sweat. He stared at Jianchen fearfully. The old man had reached early receival, so even peak reciprocity experts were unable to pressure him so much from just a single stare. Godhood, he must have reached godhood. The old man was secretly shocked. Without any hesitation, he immediately went to contact the manager of Maple Leaf Pavilion. Very soon, the old man returned with a white-clothed, scholarly middle-aged man. Jianchen could tell from a single glance that the middle-aged man was at early reciprocity. I am Chu Fei, the manager of Maple Leaf Pavilion. Are you the two looking to buy medium-quality saint artifacts? The middle-aged man spoke to Jianchen and Shenzhen enthusiastically, and also studied them secretly. He discovered that he was unable to tell either of their strengths, so he immediately shivered inside. He behaved even more politely. We want to have a look, said Jianchen. Please come with me then. The middle-aged man extended a hand to invite Jianchen and Shenzhen, before directly taking them to the top floor of the pavilion. The defenses of the top floor were extremely tight. Layers of formations encircled one another, resulting in a combination of illusion formations, killing formations, and defensive formations. Even Jianchen could not help but take a few extra glances. The defenses here are so tough that even a deity would have to take some time to get through them. If they end up trapped here, it won't be enough to threaten their lives, but leaving will be an entirely different matter, Jianchen thought. At this moment, the middle-aged man opened the formation with a secret technique and directly led Jianchen and Shenzhen in. The fourth floor of the Maple Leaf Pavilion was extremely spacious. There were only 6 objects placed in the quiet room, unlike the first floor that was filled with various items. Jianchen glanced past them and discovered that basically, all 6 were weapons. There were 3 medium-quality saint artifacts, while the remaining 3 were low-quality saint artifacts that were close to being medium quality. Jianchen did not pay too much attention to the other saint artifacts. His eyes were fixated on the 2 medium-quality saint artifact flying swords, as if he had been drawn in by them. Both of the swords were around the same size, 3 meters long and 2 fingers wide. One was completely fire-red and shone with red light as if flames were burning inside. This is a fire-attributed saint artifact. If experts who have comprehended the laws of fire uses it, their strength will be increased drastically. Of course, even if you've comprehended the laws of other attributes, you still can use this sword, but you won't be able to use its full power, the manager explained from one side. He was extremely enthusiastic. In reality, his attitude had undergone an overwhelming change after understanding that it was extremely likely for Jianchen and Shenzhen to be godhood experts. Jianchen's gaze remained on the fire-attributed flying sword for a short, while before losing interest. Then he looked towards the second flying sword. The second sword was completely silver-white and covered by a hazy white glow. To no surprise, it had reached the 5th grade as a saint artifact. Meanwhile, the red sword was also a medium-quality saint artifact, but only of the 4th grade. Manager Chu, may I inquire about the price of this sword? Jianchen stared at the flying sword and asked without looking away. The name of this sword is Flying Snow. It was personally forged by Master Blacksmith Xian Nong in the Dong'an province, and it is the most valuable item in our Maple Leaf Pavilion. It has been crowned the name of the treasure of our pavilion. Its price is 100,000 mid-grade divine crystals, replied the manager. After a moment of thought, Jianchen said, Manager Chu, can you put this flying snow sword on hold for me? I'll come back a few days later to buy it. 100,000 mid-grade divine crystals were equivalent to 10 million low-grade divine crystal. Jianchen only had a little more than 100,000 low-grade divine crystals on him right now, so he had nowhere near enough to buy the sword. However, he possessed the strength of a godhood expert after all. He could even fight early gods, so obtaining 10,000 mid-grade divine crystals was only a matter of time. Of course I can. Actually, the flying snow sword has already been with our Maple Leaf Pavilion for over 1,000 years now. It hasn't been sold during that time, so leaving it here for a few decades wouldn't be a problem at all. Looks like the flying snow sword will find its owner very soon now, Manager Chu said straightforwardly. Jianchen and Shenzhen left Maple Leaf City with their low-grade divine crystals. Then they returned to the Mo clan on the flying vehicle provided to them. On the vehicle, Jianchen gave Shenzhen all the low-grade divine crystals, assisting him in increasing his strength. Once Shenzhen reached mid-deity or late deity, He would be prepared to move against the ancestor of the Liu family. After the duo left the city, the manager of Maple Leaf Pavilion stood politely before the city lord of Maple Leaf City in the city lord's estate. He told the city lord everything that had happened in Maple Leaf Pavilion earlier. The city lord of Maple Leaf City was a dignified, middle-aged man. He vaguely gave off a unique, godhood presence. After listening to the manager's report, he sank into his thoughts temporarily. He only looked at the flying snow sword? A while later, the city lord asked with a stately bearing. Yes, he was only interested in buying the flying snow sword. He didn't seem to have enough divine crystals on him, which was why he didn't buy it. He got me to place it on hold, and he said that he would come back a few days later to buy it. The manager responded politely. The city lord waved his hand and said, "All right, I understand. You can go." The manager was dismissed. After that, the city lord waved his hand and a jade mirror appeared. Through a series of hand seals, the jade mirror immediately began to flicker, and a while later, the patriarch of the Mo clan's face appeared. "Brother Mo, the flying snow sword in my Maple Leaf Pavilion caught the eyes of the two people you mentioned. Except their funds seemed low, so they did not buy it. Do you want the flying snow sword?" The city lord smiled towards the patriarch. "Yes, of course I want it. I'll send people over to take it right now. However, Brother Feng, we've been friends for thousands of years after all, so could you cut the price of the sword a little?" The patriarch of the Mo clan chuckled. Sure. At the same time, a black figure silently appeared outside the location where the ancestor of the Liu family cultivated. He said politely, "Ancestor, there has been news about the two people you're searching for. Recently, they appeared in Maple Leaf City, and they rode the flying ship from the Mo clan." Bang! A heavy sound rang out from the room, causing the ground to shake. The ancestors' furious roars rang out from inside. "Mo clan, it really is you. I suspected that it would be you. I will never let you go. I will wipe out your entire clan." Chapter 1681. Treasure of the Liu family 1. As the furious roars of the ancestor rang out, the heavy stone door to the room sluggishly opened with a rumble. The ancestor of the Liu family walked out slowly in his gray robes. With every single step he took, his presence climbed to a new level. By the time he fully emerged from the room, his presence had flooded the surroundings, enveloping the sky and the entire Liu family. He had already fully recovered from the wounds he suffered at Jian Chen's hand, and even his strength had reached his peak. It had even improved drastically, reaching the peak of early god. He was only an inch away from mid-god, and he only needed to reach the required comprehension of laws. When the ancestor's presence enveloped the entire Liu family, the expressions of the patriarch and the various elders all changed. Through the ancestor's presence, they could all clearly feel the ancestor's fury. There was also a palpable killing intent that sent chills down the spines of everyone in the presence. "The ancestor is summoning us." The patriarch looked towards the location where the ancestor cultivated, and became extremely stern. Soon afterwards, he disappeared with a flash in an instant, rushing towards where the ancestor stayed as quickly as he could. At the same time, all the elders in the Liu family hurried towards the ancestor's location as well. The ancestor of the Liu family stood with his arms crossed and his face sunken outside his room. With a flash, several figures appeared before him. The patriarch and basically all the elders had arrived at the same time. "Greetings to the ancestor." The patriarch and the 8 elders all bowed towards the ancestor. The ancestor of the Liu family glanced past everyone coldly and said, "I've already reached the bottom of this. Liu Fei's betrayal is linked to the Mo clan. It was the Mo clan that bribed him, getting him to steal our treasure. Our treasure is currently in the hands of the Mo clan." "What? It's actually the Mo clan? We were just planning on working with the Ando clan against them. Never would I have thought that they would move against us first. Ancestor, we have to make the Mo clan pay the price," an elder said coldly. The patriarch's gaze became cold as well. "Looks like the Mo clan has become bold just because they have a Shiyu. They're actually meddling in our affairs. Ancestor, I'd say we immediately move against the Mo clan together. We can't give them any time to catch their breath. Shiyu is very talented, and she cultivates very quickly. If this continues, she'll become a god. At that time, we'll suffer heavy losses even if we work with the Ando clan. It won't be worth it. The patriarch is right. Ancestor, please give the order. We can't let the Mo clan catch their breath. The other elders all requested for battle as well. They were all furious. The Mo clan had actually stolen their treasure. They could not be spared. No, we can't move against the Mo clan right now. Recently, the Mo clan gained a mysterious expert. He is very powerful. A few days ago, I battled him, and we both suffered heavy injuries in the end. The ancestor of the Liu family said with a sunken face. What? The Mo clan has gained another god? The patriarch and the several elders immediately became surprised. To them, this was the worst news possible. No, he's not a god. Although I couldn't see his exact cultivation, I could tell from the battle that he was still a deity. It's just that his comprehension of laws are no less than mine. Of course, just that still isn't enough to heavily injure me. What really injured me was the mighty treasure he used at the end. The ancestor of the Liu family said uneasily. Before anyone could ask a question, the ancestor continued. We have to make full preparations against an expert like that now that the Mo clan has gained someone like him. We can't act recklessly, or not only will we fail to wipe out the Mo clan, but we'll become doomed instead. You can leave for now. Be prepared for a battle against the Mo clan. The patriarch and elders of the Liu family all departed. Mobilize everyone to pay close attention to all movements of the Mo clan. Remember to be secretive. Do not let the Mo clan discover your movements, said the ancestor. Yes, sir. The black figure who had come bearing the news replied politely. He vanished after bowing to the ancestor. The ancestor remained where he was with his arms crossed. He thought back to all the details of his battle with Jianchen a few days ago. Whenever he thought of the profound sword Qi Jianchen used in the very end, fear and dread would immediately appear in his eyes. Just what was that? Was it some secret treasure I haven't heard of? Or was it some sort of powerful technique? The ancestor murmured. Even until now, he still did not know what the profound sword Qi used by Jianchen was. 7 majestic halls stood silently in the Mo clan. Origin realm guards surrounded every hall, and they held their posts silently. Only the godhood elders of the Mo clan could reside in such a hall. Shenjian currently sat on his jade bed in the newly constructed 7th hall. In his hands were around a dozen thumb-sized divine crystals. He rapidly absorbed the pure origin energy within the low-grade divine crystals, which transformed into strands of pure energy that entered his body. He refined it into a part of him. There was not a lot of origin energy within low-grade divine crystals. Very soon, all the divine crystals ran out of origin energy and turned to dust. Shenjian slowly opened his eyes and looked at Jianchen, who sat at a table nearby. Currently, Jianchen was eating some desserts leisurely. He said, the origin energy that these low-grade divine crystals can provide is extremely limited. Just these divine crystals won't be enough for me to reach mid-deity. These crystals can't even provide me a 10th, or even a 100th of the origin energy I require to reach mid-deity. Jianchen did not find that to be a surprise at all. Over 100,000 low-grade divine crystals sounded a lot, but in reality, that was only a little more than 1,000 mid-grade divine crystals, or around a dozen high-grade divine crystals. Jianchen arrived before Shenjian, and took out the box he obtained from Liu Fei again. He said, if my guess is correct, the treasure of the Liu family should be in here. Except the box is protected by powerful formations. Even gods would need to expend quite the effort to get through it. So why don't we get through the box together, and see what's inside? Chapter 1682. Treasure of the Liu family 2. The light in Shenjian's eyes immediately glittered when he saw the box protected by layers of formations in Jianchen's hand. He was also extremely curious about the treasure of the Liu family. This formation really is very powerful. If I were alone, it'd be extremely arduous to get through the formations. However, if we work together, we should be able to get through it within a day, said Shenjian. With that, a dazzling white light immediately appeared in his hand, condensing into a strand of powerful sword qi in a single moment. Shen Jian pressed it against the box. Powerful origin energy pulsed within the white light. He had directly used both his cultivation and laws of the sword against the formations on the box. This is the Mo clan. Remember to control your power so that you don't alarm others, said Jian Qin. He also began to condense his power of laws in his right hand, creating a dazzling strand of sword qi just like Shen Jian to attack the formations on the box. Met with their attacks, the formations on the box immediately began to flicker. All the formations were activated at that moment, revealing their greatest power. They transformed into a robust defense against their vicious attacks. At the same time, the formations absorbed the origin energy in the surroundings. The energy rapidly gathered towards the box and was constantly absorbed, so that the formations could replenish their energy. After all, maintaining a formation required energy. Even though the formations on the box could sustain itself for quite a long while, there were many formations on the box, and there just happened to be formations that could gather origin energy. As soon as the formations on the box began to absorb the origin energy in the surroundings, Jian Qin knew that it was no longer possible to avoid drawing the attention of the Mo clan. The formation on the box gathered origin energy exceptionally quickly. Let alone godhood experts. Even all the origin realm experts in the Mo clan could sense the changes to the surrounding origin energy clearly. However, this did not cause Jian Qin and Shen Jian to stop. Instead, they devoted themselves to getting through the formations because the hall was equivalent to Shen Jian's personal residence. Without his permission, even the patriarch of the clan could not enter without good reason, let alone the elders. After all, godhood experts were revered in the Mo clan, even if they had only just broken through to godhood. As expected, the other elders in the surrounding halls opened their eyes when they sensed the abnormalities of the origin energy in the surroundings. They all looked towards the 7th hall. Looks like Shen Jian's talent is very outstanding. He is actually able to create such a disturbance when he cultivates. There's no way I can match up to how quickly he absorbs origin energy. Absorbing origin energy? Sigh. It has already been several thousand years since I've experienced something like that. I've already been stuck at mid-deity for several thousand years. It's just a pity that I've failed to make any progress with my comprehension of laws, preventing me from reaching late deity. The godhood elders in the Mo clan all murmured to themselves. They had mistakenly thought that Shen Jian's cultivation had caused the disturbance. At the same time, the patriarch of the Mo clan looked toward Shen Jian's residence. Sensing the rate at which origin energy gathered in that direction, he could not help but praise. So I was right. Shen Jian's talent is truly extraordinary. Apart from you, there's probably no one else in our clan who can rival him. I have to rope him in. If he becomes the 7th elder of the clan, we might become powerful enough to move into the provincial city. Of course, that is given that the Lu family and the Ando clan don't come to create trouble for us. Several million kilometers away from the Mo clan, in a certain mountain range, there was a dense cluster of structures. They were beautiful, creating a wonderful combination with the surrounding mountains and water, partially enshrouded by mist. There were even various birds flying in the sky and precious beasts moving along the ground. They would cry out from time to time. From afar, it seemed like an otherworldly place. This was where the Ando clan resided. The Ando clan was the same as the Lu family, Mo clan, and Atomo's sword sect. They were one of the 4 that reigned supreme in the region. However, compared to the 3 other organizations, the Ando clan had extremely great specifications for where they stayed. They had purposefully made the clan seem like an otherworldly place. Of course, the Ando clan had paid quite the price to have everything set up in such a manner. At this moment, in one of the secret rooms within the clan, the ancestor of the Lu family sat with a ruddy old man. The two of them discussed a certain matter sternly. The ruddy old man was the ancestor of the Ando clan, Andogu. What? The treasure of your Lu family has ended up in the hands of the Mo clan? Lu Tian, are you sure? Andogu stared at the ancestor of the Lu family in shock. Disbelief filled his face. The ancestor of the Lu family's face darkened. His eyes were filled with killing intent, and he said coldly, Andogu, do you think I'm joking? However, When Lu Tian fled from my Lu family, he was already heavily injured. When he met up with the people from the Mo clan, they took the treasure from him and killed him afterwards to silence him and prevent my family from learning about this matter. What the Mo clan never expected was that I would manage to break out of the formation in time to catch up, allowing me to learn who was responsible for this. Their plan to obtain the treasure of my Lu family secretly failed as a result. With that, Andogu became stern as well. He said furiously, "I never thought that the Mo clan would be so wildly ambitious. They've gone too far." The ancestor of the Lu family looked at Andogu and said with a deep voice, "Since the Mo clan has already laid their hands on us, there must be someone in your Ando clan that has been bribed as well. Maybe one of your godhood elders has already pledged themselves to the Mo clan, and they're secretly eyeing the treasure of your Ando clan. They'll make your clan suffer the same as us once they have the opportunity." Andogu slammed the table. He snorted coldly. "Looks like the Mo clan thinks they're a big deal now just because they have a Shiyu. They think they can take on both of us just with that. No, the Mo clan doesn't just have Shiyu. They also have another mysterious godhood expert. It was he who took the treasure from Lu Fei initially, despite only being a deity. I fought against him and failed to gain the upper hand, so I failed to retrieve our treasure," the ancestor of the Lu family said nonchalantly. Andogu was surprised. "What? The Mo clan actually has such a great expert, to the point where even you failed to gain the upper hand? Just where did the Mo clan recruit someone like that?" "Andogu, the Mo clan is about to rise. We have to move quickly. Otherwise, even if we band together, we won't be their opponents once Shiyu becomes a god if you include that mysterious expert," said the ancestor of the Lu family. Chapter 1683. Treasure of the Lu Family 3. Andogu gently tapped the jade table before him, and the light in his eyes flickered. He became uneasy. He measured the losses of his Ando clan if he went to battle against the Mo clan. However, Andogu made up his mind after only hesitating for a short while. He stared at the ancestor of the Lu family with shining eyes and said gruffly, "Lu Tian, when do we move?" Andogu also understood the severity of the matter. If the Mo clan did not have Shiyu or the powerful mysterious expert, the two of them could proceed with their plans against the Mo clan slowly, so that they could minimize their losses. However, with Shiyu's appearance and the existence of the mysterious expert, the Mo clan's overall strength had increased by a lot. If they kept dragging out their plans, the Mo clan would become even more challenging to deal with once Shiyu became a god. They might not be their opponent even if they worked together. As a result, they had to carry out their plan to deal with the Mo clan earlier. The sooner, the better. The ancestor of the Lu family thought silently for a while and said, "Before we move, we have to make sufficient preparations to stop anyone from the Mo clan escaping. We also need to prevent from leaking the existence of God King Duanmu's jade. We have to have formations that can envelop a range of 10,000 kilometers to do that, and it'll need to be able to endure attacks from gods. Our Dong'an province doesn't possess something like that. I need to go to the royal city. The royal city is quite distant. It'll take up quite some time for the journey. Lu Fei, please head off immediately. If you lack divine crystals, we can provide you with some," said Andogu. With a crisp crack in the 7th hall of the Mo clan, Jianchen and Xinjian finally removed the formation on the box after an entire day. As the formations shattered, the origin energy that had gathered came to a halt and gradually calmed down. The godhood elders and patriarch in the Mo clan only believed that Xinjian had stopped cultivating, so they did not think too much about it. This was because when godhood experts absorbed origin energy to cultivate, they would indeed create such a disturbance. When their god ancestor absorbed origin energy to cultivate, he would create an even greater disturbance. Jianchen and Xinjian both stared at the box in their hands eagerly. The item stored inside was the treasure of the Lu family. It was something that a clan with a god could regard as treasure, so its value was evident. Is it a cultivation method? Battle skill? Or perhaps an artifact? Or maybe something else that's priceless? At that moment, both Jianchen and Xinjian began to guess what it was. Jianchen slowly removed the lid under their eager gazes. The moment the box was opened, a beam of dazzling light immediately emerged. A mysterious presence appeared as well, something that could pique the interest of any person. It permeated the surroundings. Fortunately, Jianchen and Xinjian had been prepared before opening the box. They had cast down formations and barriers in the surroundings, isolating the presence from the outside world. Within the box sat an inky green piece of ancient jade. It glimmered with light. The jade was oddly shaped, making it possible to tell with a single glance that it was incomplete. Is this the treasure of the Lu family? Surprise appeared in Jianchen and Xinjian's eyes when they saw the piece of jade. Jianchen could not help but extend his hand to pick it up, but as soon as he touched it, the piece of jade immediately emitted a shocking pulse that was enough to shake his soul. He jerked violently. The presence was just too powerful and shocking. Even with Jianchen's current strength, he felt as insignificant as an ant before the presence. This piece of jade is not simple. Jianchen became stern. He stared at the piece of jade for a while, before passing it to Xinjian. Touching the jade, Xinjian also jerked like Jianchen. Surprise filled his face. He went through the same thing as Jianchen. There's a sliver of the power of a God King's soul in there. Suddenly, Fairy Haoyu's voice rang out. The power of a God King's soul. Jianchen and Xinjian immediately became stunned when they heard that. A God King clearly left this piece of jade behind. The power of his soul he left within the jade has already fused with the jade, causing it to change. It's only a pity that the jade's incomplete, said Fairy Haoyu. Fairy Haoyu, do you know what this piece of jade is for? Jianchen asked modestly. There were still many things he did not understand about the saint's world, while Fairy Haoyu in his eyes was a knowledgeable senior, who knew many things more than him. After a moment of thought, Fairy Haoyu said slowly, in the saint's world, there are indeed a few people who store a sliver of their power or a sliver of the power from their souls in objects, which they gift to their juniors. It represents their status, and can also be a form of protection. Once an important junior comes across danger, the senior's power will appear and assist the junior in overcoming the problem. Lastly, many experts will cover where they cultivate with many formations, basically making it impenetrable. It would be so tough that even they themselves would struggle to break through it. Hence, to allow any juniors to enter with ease, they'll leave behind their presence, or a sliver of the power from their souls in an object. As a result, the juniors can easily pass through the formations. Not only has the power of the God King's soul completely fused with the jade in your hand, but the jade is incomplete as well. If I've guessed correctly, the jade was probably a crucial item to pass through some formation, while the God King who left behind this in the past probably met quite a horrible end. Otherwise, he would not have left the power of his soul in a shattered piece of jade. Jianchen and Xinjian both beamed with joy when they heard that. They asked, Fairy Haoyu, are you saying that this piece of jade is the key to a God King's dwelling? That's extremely likely the case. However, even if it's the key to a God King's dwelling, the jade you possess is incomplete, and you don't know where the God King's dwelling is either. As a result, the jade is basically useless to you. You have to collect all the pieces of the jade and know the precise location of the dwelling to make use of it, said Fairy Haoyu. Chapter 1684. The source of divine crystals. Jianchen became greatly disappointed after hearing Fairy Haoyu's explanation. He had originally thought that the treasure of the Lu family was something impressive, where even if it were useless to him, it would be worth quite a lot, allowing him to obtain a large number of divine crystals if he sold it. He could use them as resources to support Xinjian's breakthroughs. However, he had never thought that the so-called treasure of the Lu family was just a piece of incomplete jade. Even though the piece of jade was likely to be the key to a God King's dwelling, it would be useless if he did not assemble the entire piece of jade. Moreover, even if he did assemble the entire piece, he still needed to know the precise location of the God King's dwelling, or it would still be useless. As a result, the piece of jade was equivalent to a useless piece of rock to Jianchen. Even if he auctioned it off, he would not be able to get a good price for it. Esteemed Senior Xinjian, The patriarch and elder Shi you have come to visit. At this moment, a guard's voice rang out from outside politely. Shen Jian immediately removed the surrounding formations and barriers. Jianchen also dismissed his thoughts and quickly put the piece of jade back into the box, and placed it back into his space ring. Only after doing all that did Shen Jian and Jianchen make their way out, personally inviting the patriarch and elder Shiyu into the hall. They were extremely polite. After all, the two of them were in the Mo clan's territory. The clan had been kind enough already to get a guard to announce the patriarch's visit. May I ask if Brother Shen Jian's finding this place comfortable? If there are any places you are discontent with, please bring it up to me directly. There's no need to be polite. I'll get people to fix the matter immediately. The patriarch clasped his hands at Shen Jian and Jianchen with a smile. He did not put up the haughty airs of a patriarch. Thank you for your warm hospitality, patriarch. We are extremely satisfied with what you have provided us with. Shen Jian replied politely. The four of them conversed a little, asking about each other's well-beings. Afterwards, the patriarch took out a long wooden box. Layers of formations protected the box, and it would pulse with powerful energy from time to time. Ignoring the fact that the box must have been holding something extraordinary, just the box itself was crafted from an extremely precious type of wood. It was invaluable. This is a gift I've specially prepared for Brother Jianchen. I wonder if you like it. The patriarch smiled as he passed the wooden box to Jianchen. Patriarch, this. Jianchen hesitated as he stared at the wooden box that was pushed into his hands. Although he was unable to see what was inside the box due to the protective formations, he felt that the matter was rather inappropriate. After all, he had only come to the Mo clan a few days ago, and was allowed to freeload off them. He even received a gift now. Although he knew that the patriarch was trying to rope in Shen Jian and him, he did not plan on staying at the Mo clan for very long. Seeing Jianchen's hesitation, the patriarch removed the formations on the box and directly shoved it into Jianchen's hands. He smiled. Brother Jianchen, you should open it and have a look. After a moment of hesitance, Jianchen made up his mind and opened the box firmly. Immediately, a hazy, white glow emerged. A flying sword sat in there silently. It's the flying snow sword from Maple Leaf Pavilion. Jianchen's eyes narrowed. The patriarch chuckled. Maple Leaf Pavilion is a business that belongs to the city lord of Maple Leaf City, while the city lord and I are old friends. After learning that this sword caught Brother Jianchen's eye, I bought it as a gift for you. I hope you like it. Jianchen remained calm. He slowly closed the lid of the box and returned the sword to the patriarch. He said, Patriarch, this gift is just too valuable. I cannot accept it. Thank you, Patriarch. I'll accept this gift for Jianchen then. However, right after Jianchen finished talking, Shen Jian grabbed the box in his stead. Jianchen was stunned. He looked towards Shen Jian, and he appeared rather troubled. With the gift accepted, the patriarch was in a fantastic mood. He conversed with Jianchen and Shen Jian for a very long time before leaving with Shiyu. Although the patriarch had never mentioned the fact that he wanted to rope in Jianchen and Shen Jian, they all understood what was going on. They just chose not to talk about it. From the patriarch, Jianchen and Shen Jian also gained a better understanding of the surrounding region, in particular, the strength of the four organizations in the surrounding region. They learnt how many godhood elders each organization possessed and learnt all about a few of them. Even with regards to the Dong'an province, the two of them gained a rough understanding. It was just not very detailed. Jianchen, take the flying snow sword for now. Don't worry about owing people favors. The matter at hand is to increase our strength and deal with the ancestor of the Liu family afterward. We can use the Liu family's territory to return the kindness of the Mo clan, said Shen Jian. Once they killed the ancestor of the Liu family would obviously no longer be able to hold their ground against the four other organizations. With Shen Jian and Jianchen's assistance, the Mo clan could take over the Liu family's territory all too easily. Jianchen hesitated for a while before accepting the flying snow sword in the end. He could not use the twin swords, so his strength was drastically affected. Now that he had the flying snow sword, his battle prowess would return to his peak once again. The Liu family also control a divine crystal mine. The Lu family mines quite a lot of divine crystals from it every year. Xinjian, cultivate with the low-grade divine crystals you have on you right now. I'll go out and get some more for you. Once you reach mid-deity, we can move against the Lu family immediately, Jianchen said to Xinjian as a heavy killing intent bubbled in his voice. Xinjian stared at Jianchen strangely. He smiled slightly. Jianchen, you plan on doing something with the Lu family's divine crystal mine? The corner of Jianchen's lips curled slightly, revealing a smile with hidden intentions. He said, all the wealth of the Lu family belongs to us anyway once the ancestor of the Lu family dies. I'm just collecting part of it early. Then be careful. Don't forget about the hidden problem on you. Don't worry. Unless a god personally comes, no one can force me to such a state. The ancestor of the Lu family should not have recovered so quickly from his wounds. And even if he has, he'll become heavily injured if he manages to avoid death once I use my profound sword qi. How will he still have the power to pursue me? Jianchen sighed gently after reaching this point. It's just a pity that we almost killed the ancestor of the Lu family last time but failed. The Dark Cloud Mountains was within the Lu family's territory. As a thick layer of dark clouds often covered them, they had been named accordingly. Although the mountains seemed extremely ordinary from the outside, without anything special apart from its origin energy being 2 or 3 times denser, the Lu family would send a large number of workers to this location. Basically, a quarter of the Lu family's forces would be gathered here, and there would even be godhood elders who patrolled the region. Clearly, they placed great importance on this place. This was because there was a divine crystal mine in the depths of the mountains. Even though it was just a small mine for low-grade divine crystals, it was still a massive piece of property to the Lu family, so the defenses in the Dark Cloud Mountains were really tight. There was a gaping chasm in the center of the Dark Cloud Mountains, while the bottom of the chasm was flat. Various stone huts stood in there in an orderly pattern, with many bare-chested cultivators who only wore shorts moving around between them. It added some liveliness to the dark chasm. These people were all miners that the Lu family had arranged to collect divine crystals. They were miners, but most of them were only at sainthood, with saint emperors making up the majority of them. Even some early origin realm miners would appear from time to time. Chapter 1685. High-grade divine crystals. Aside from the miners, there were many other cultivators clad in armor scattered across the bottom of the chasm. They were all emotionless as they paid attention to the surroundings coldly. They gave off a presence that was extremely powerful in the eyes of the miners. These people clad in armor were all of the origin realm, and there were quite a few of them at reciprocity. They were the guards that the Lu family had stationed here, and they equated to a quarter of the Lu family's entire force. Only a few of them patrolled the surroundings. Most of them just stood in particular spots without moving at all like statues. Upon closer inspection, it was quite evident that locations where they stood all connected up into an extremely powerful killing formation. The killing formation would obviously be extremely powerful with so many origin realm experts taking part. Even if deities personally arrived, they would struggle to benefit from the situation at all. There was a 100-meter-tall stone tower between the stone huts at the bottom of the chasm. Not only was the tower the tallest structure there, but it also pulsed with a powerful energy. Clearly, it was not just any old stone tower. Currently, there was a hawk-nosed old man at the top of the stone tower. He was small and short, skinny and bony. He looked down from above, and his rather thin lips would curl into an evil smile from time to time, making him seem sly. Being the supervisor here really is an easy job. I can make so much every year. Even the godhood elders in the clan don't receive as much in offerings. Haha, I only have to remain as a supervisor for 1,000 years. No, not even 1,000 years. Just 100 years is enough for me to make a huge amount of money, thought the old man. He liked this place a lot. This location was like heaven to him. Of course, he did not take a liking to the environment, but to the fact that this was a divine crystal mine. As the supervisor, he held the most power here. He controlled everything. All the divine crystals the miners excavated had to be handed up to him, and then he would hand it up to the Lu family. Apart from that, Some miners would even secretly give him a small portion of the divine crystals that they were supposed to hand up to get on his good side and enjoy some minimal benefits, allowing him to do nothing and still make a considerable amount of money. It's just a pity that only a tiny portion of the divine crystals offered up to me by those miners are actually mine. I have to give the rest to the elders, the old man sighed. He felt some unwillingness as well as some helplessness. The Liu family was extremely strict about the supervisor's management of the mine, forbidding them from taking divine crystals for themselves. He was bold enough to do this because he had the support of a few elders in the Liu family. As a result, even if the patriarch of the Liu family found out about this, he could only turn a blind eye out of respect for the elders. At this moment, disturbances suddenly emerged among the miners below. At the same time, an extremely pure origin energy appeared. The people below, including a few of the patrolling guards, quickly gathered together. They all discussed a certain topic with great interest and shock. The old man's face turned icy. He directly flew down from the stone tower and said coldly and condescendingly, "What are you discussing? Disperse. Go do what you need to do." A few of the guards immediately showed displeasure in their eyes after hearing the old man's words. The old man was not powerful. He was only at late reciprocity, while some of the guards had already reached peak reciprocity. As a result, some of the guards did not really care about the old man. However, since he had the support of godhood elders, they did not dare to offend him either. It's high-grade divine crystals. High-grade divine crystals, I say. Supervisor, someone has excavated high-grade divine crystals. A few miners ran over excitedly. As expected, one of them carried a fist-sized divine crystal in their hands. It glimmered like a gemstone and radiated with extremely pure origin energy. The old man was stunned. He stared at the fist-sized divine crystal in a daze, and disbelief filled his face. The Dark Cloud Mountains were only a small, low-grade divine crystal mine. Usually, only low-grade divine crystals could be excavated from a mine like this. If they were lucky, they would come across mid-grade divine crystals from time to time. It was impossible for high-grade divine crystals to appear in a low-grade divine crystal mine like this. It's really a high-grade divine crystal? The old man said with his mouth agape. He had never seen a high-grade divine crystal in his life. Even for mid-grade divine crystals, he had only seen a thumb-sized piece in his life. Yet the high-grade divine crystal before him was actually the size of a fist. Units of divine crystals were around the size of a thumb, 1 centimeter long, wide and deep. If the fist-sized divine crystal was divided into units, it would be several dozen pieces, or even 100 divine crystals. The old man snatched away the high-grade divine crystal, and greed flashed through his eyes. However, it vanished very quickly. He knew extremely well that he might have been able to try to get his hands on the divine crystal if it was low-grade, but he definitely could not touch high-grade divine crystals. Otherwise, even the elders supporting him would not be able to protect him anymore. I have to return to the clan immediately and report this matter to the patriarch. High-grade divine crystals have actually appeared in the Dark Cloud Mountains. This is definitely not just a low-grade divine crystal mine. The old man was in extremely high spirits. If he reported this, he would receive great merit for it. However, at this moment, an extremely terrifying pulse of energy emerged. The pitch-black sky suddenly lit up from the bottom of the chasm, becoming red in a single moment. Flames roared, blotting out the sun and the sky, enveloping all the mountains. The temperature in the surroundings suddenly began to climb as well. It's the defensive formations. Oh no, someone is attacking. Everyone prepare for battle. An extremely vigorous voice rang out from the depths of the chasm, basically in the same moment the formation had been activated. The captain of the guards had reacted as soon as possible and had quickly mobilized his men. Chapter 1686. Robbery. Seeing how stern the captain of the guards had become, the old man snickered disdainfully. He sneered, "Captain Feng, is there any need to be so nervous? Don't forget that the formations here were personally cast down by the ancestor. Even deities would struggle to get through them. However, before the old man had finished his words, a deafening boom resounded from the skies. The formation that had just been activated shattered loudly, failing to last even a few seconds. Now both the old man and the various Origin Realm guards stared at the shattered formation in shock. Their hearts began to churn. Even deities would struggle to smash through the defensive formation. Even if there were several deities, it would be able to hold up for a while, yet it had shattered instantly. A god? At this moment, similar thoughts suddenly appeared in the heads of many people. According to their understanding, only gods could smash through the defensive formation so easily. At this moment, pure white snow drifted down from the sky, quickly turning into a blizzard. Snow flew everywhere while the cold wind whistled. At that moment, the depths of the chasm seemed to have become a cavern of ice, gaining a layer of thick snow in the blink of an eye. There was a sudden and crisp resonance of sword in the sky filled with snow. A strand of sharp and powerful sword chi tore through the snow-ridden sky as it shone with dazzling white light, shooting downwards. The depths of the chasm began to tremble. All the huts erected there began to hover, spinning around the stone tower. It rapidly became a defensive formation. Boom! The sword chi directly struck the formation, immediately erupting with a deafening sound. The base of the chasm shook violently. Powerful ripples of energy splayed out, creating huge cracks across the rock face. The falling rocks kicked up a lot of dust. The formation created from the stone huts and tower managed to block the sword chi, but a tiny crack appeared on all the huts. As for the tower, its top layer had directly been reduced to nothingness. All the miners and guards paled at this scene. Their hearts trembled. Ever since they began guarding this place, they had come across many people who had tried to get their hands on the divine crystals here, but they had never seen such a powerful opponent. The formation that they took pride in, or even regarded as something that could block anything, was actually so fragile. It could not even withstand a single attack. Get into the Heaven's Dipper formation, Captain Feng called out. Immediately, the guards who stood in particular places like statues began to move together. A series of complicated inscriptions appeared beneath their feet. They all linked together, forming a powerful formation instantly. I hope the Heaven's Dipper formation can last a little longer. Captain Feng had already placed all his hopes on the Heaven's Dipper formation. The Heaven's Dipper formation was their last line of defense. If it collapsed as well, they would no longer possess any power to fend off godhood experts. Back in the Liu family, the patriarch of the clan was currently sitting in the discussion hall, holding a secret meeting with the upper echelon of the clan. Ever since he learnt that the Mo clan had stolen their treasure, the Liu family had entered a state of high vigilance. Some members of the upper echelon had even begun to silently gather their strength, only waiting for the ancestors' orders before they killed their way towards the Mo clan. Of course, to prevent the Mo clan from finding out, everything was carried out secretly. Even a few of the more prestigious people in the clan had no idea about these silent changes. They could only sense that the atmosphere of the clan had suddenly become rather heavy, like the calm before a storm. However, many people believed that the atmosphere originated from Liu Fei's betrayal. At this moment, the expression of the patriarch who was hosting the meeting changed. With a flip of his hand, a golden jade talisman appeared in his hand. It had already shattered. The patriarch's face suddenly changed when he saw the talisman. He immediately said through a communication technique, "Something urgent has happened at the Dark Cloud Mountains. They're requesting the highest level of assistance possible. Elders, may I ask who is willing to go to the Dark Cloud Mountains?" The Liu family had 9 majestic halls that represented 9 godhood elders. However, one of the halls had been reduced to ruins now, leaving only 8 standing. All the elders cultivated in their respective halls. When they received the patriarch's message, all their eyes snapped open. After a series of discussions, 3 elders flew out together, rushing towards the Dark Cloud Mountains. The snow in the Dark Cloud Mountains fell heavier and heavier, enough to cause a whiteout. A second strand of sword chi shone resplendently as it fell with lightning speed, striking the stone tower below. This strand of sword chi was even more powerful than the one before. Boom! The stone tower trembled violently. This time, half of it had been reduced to dust, while close to a third of the huts around it had disintegrated as well. Although the remaining 2/3 of the huts remained, they were covered by web-like cracks now. Swish. Soon afterwards, a third strand of sword chi suddenly appeared. It struck the stone tower like a bolt of lightning through the sky full of snow. Again, the third strand of sword chi was even more powerful than the second. The formation that was known to be able to resist the attacks from multiple deities finally collapsed after taking on the 3 sword chi. The remaining tower and huts all turned to dust. However, the third sword chi had not dispersed yet. It still possessed some power, so it continued to hurtle towards the Heaven's Dipper formation below without slowing down at all. With a boom, all the Origin Realm experts operating the formation trembled violently. Violent energy wreaked havoc in the depths of the chasm, causing huge cracks to appear in the surrounding rock face. Some parts had even collapsed. The mountains shook and the earth cracked, making it seem like the entire world was trembling. The end of the world seemed to have come. Sir, this is the territory of the Lu family. Are you unafraid of the wrath of our ancestor? Since you'll be offending the Lu family just for some mere low-grade divine crystals? The old man paled and called out toward the sky. It was impossible for deities to smash through the 2 formations so quickly. Only gods possessed that power. He just could not understand why a god, someone on par with the ancestor of his clan, would personally come to rob their low-grade divine crystal mine. Although high-grade divine crystals had appeared here, indicating that the mine did not just possess low-grade divine crystals. He refused to believe that the attacking god had learnt about this before they had come here. This was because the high-grade divine crystals had just been excavated. It was impossible for the news to be leaked so quickly. The response he received was an extremely bright light. A flying sword was hidden within the light, while the power from the laws of the sword revolved around the sword. It seemed to be locked against the Heaven's Dipper formation with devastating might. This attack was clearly much more powerful than any of the sword chi before, so the Heaven's Dipper formation composed of so many Origin Realm experts was as fragile as paper before it. The formation directly collapsed, while the various Origin Realm experts all spurted blood from their mouths, paling in a single moment. They became haggard and half of them directly fainted. The inscriptions beneath them all crackled, directly exploding, leaving huge craters in the ground. The snow stopped falling. A dazzling ball of white light flickered high in the sky, gradually descending into the chasm. The white light was not truly light, but something condensed from the extremely sharp glow of a sword. A slender figure was barely visible through the light. He was like a sun, illuminating the dark depths of the chasm with his layer of snow-white light. The bottom of the chasm fell silent at that moment. Whether it was the miners or the guards who had been stationed there by the Lu family, they all stared at the figure that slowly descended in fear. No one dared to say a single thing. None of them chose to run because there was only one way out at the bottom of the chasm, and this way out had been blocked by the god before them. To no one's surprise, the person who had come to rob the mine was Jianchen. Hand over all your divine crystals or die, Jianchen said coldly. He protected himself with the light from his laws of the sword, which concealed his appearance and figure. Chapter 1687. Collection. As Jianchen's voice rang out, the entire chasm became dead silent. Some people were even stunned after hearing his words. In their eyes, Jianchen was a mighty god. He stood at the same level as the ancestors of the 4 organizations that reigned over the region. He would be prestigious to the point where it would be extremely difficult for them, who were at the Origin Realm at most, to even catch a glance of him. Yet, the person who was equivalent to a supreme expert that they were revering had actually come personally to rob the divine crystal mine. He did not care for his identity as a god at all. His actions immediately stunned many people. Esteemed senior, this mine belongs to the Lu family. The ancestor of our Lu family places great importance on this mine. At the same time, this is only a low-grade mine. Only low-grade divine crystals can be found here, with mid-grade divine crystals being extremely rare, so with senior's greatness, these divine crystals must not be enough to satisfy you. The old man bowed and said carefully. At the same time, he paid close attention to Jianchen's reaction. His forehead had already become covered in a layer of sweat after saying that. Although the Lu family possessed a god, they had never seen him before. The senior before him was the first god they had ever seen. It was just that Jian Chen's appearance was obscured by the light around him, so no one was able to tell who this god was. The old man brought up the ancestor of the Lu family in hopes of deterring and scaring this senior somewhat. After all, the Lu family did place great importance on the mine. Without any exaggeration, the mine in the Dark Cloud Mountains was the lifeblood of the Lu family. They could not afford to lose it. Jian Chen's gaze turned icy. He gently swung the flying snow sword in his hand. With a flash, a silver-white strand of sword chi seemed to have fused with the snow, shooting towards the old man with lightning speed. The old man was only at reciprocity, making him a decent expert among the guards. However, he was as insignificant as an ant before Jian Chen, who could even fight gods. He could not resist at all. As a matter of fact, he could not even react to a casual attack from Jian Chen. The old man did not realize it at all. He only felt a heart-wrenching pain from his right arm all of a sudden, causing him to cry out miserably and uncontrollably. Blood spurted out like a fountain from his right shoulder. His entire arm had been cleaved off by the sword chi. This is only a warning. Don't mention what you said earlier to me ever again, Jian Chen said icily. There was a heavy killing intent in his eyes, warning all the people present that he did not fear the ancestor of the Lu family or fear offending them. Jian Chen's ruthless act of chopping off the old man's arm immediately caused the expressions of all the guards present to change. Despite that, no one dared to speak out. Senior, please spare me. I'll hand over all the divine crystals I've mined. Please spare us, Senior. Please spare my insignificant life. There are over 5,000 low-grade divine crystals in this space ring. I planned on giving it to the supervisor initially, but I'll offer all of them up to you now. The miners that were responsible for excavating the divine crystals handed over their space rings without any hesitation at all. Although they had mined quite a few of them, the divine crystals did not belong to them. They had to hand it all up, so it was all the same to them whether they gave the divine crystals to the Lu family or someone else. They would not lose anything. Over 1,000 miners removed their space rings and placed them before Jian Chen courteously. None of them tried to keep a single divine crystal to themselves, and there were even a few miners who took pleasure in the situation. Most of them were people who had offended the Lu family, or they were brought here for other reasons to do the hard work. They naturally had no good opinion of the Lu family. They felt delighted now that the Lu family was going to suffer. As the miners handed up their space rings, a huge pile formed before Jian Chen very soon. Every single space ring possessed the same design, and they all held quite a lot of divine crystals. The old man from the Lu family and the captain of the guards watched everything unfold with pale faces. Even though they were furious inside, they dared not to voice it at all, much less exhibit it on their faces. In their hearts, they only wished that the ancestor would learn what was happening here and arrive sooner. Very soon, all the miners handed up their space rings. Jian Chen nodded in satisfaction as he looked at the pile of space rings. His robbery of the Lu family had been much more successful than he had originally thought it would be. Jian Chen looked at the old man and sneered. Looks like you're in charge here. You must have quite a lot of divine crystals on you. So hand over your space ring as well. The old man's face immediately became extremely ugly. After a moment of hesitance, he clenched his teeth and removed his space ring from his finger reluctantly. Even though his life savings were stored inside there, nothing was more important than his own life. With a wave of his hand, the large pile of space rings before him suddenly vanished. He took them all away. He could already tell that many of the miners had been trapped here by the Lu family to excavate divine crystals. Even the space rings they used had been specially handed out by the Lu family, so he would obviously keep the Lu family from getting their space rings back. Senior, a piece of high-grade divine crystal was just excavated earlier. For a mine where a high-grade divine crystal can appear, it's definitely not low-grade. It'll be mid-grade or even high-grade. At this moment, someone said loudly from within the crowd of miners. He was one of the people that the Lu family had imprisoned here, so his hatred towards the Lu family had already reached fuming levels. He was tempted to create some more trouble for the Lu family. Oh, a mid-grade divine crystal mine? Or maybe even a high-grade mine? Jian Chen's eyes lit up. He stared at the miner and asked, "What's your name?" The miner immediately beamed when Jian Chen asked for his name. He completely ignored the old man's murderous glare and replied politely, "Senior, I am Yixing. I accidentally offended a clansman of the Lu family 500 years ago, so they captured me and sent me here to excavate divine crystals for them." Chapter 1688. A precious mine, I see. Jian Chen nodded his head slightly. He was not surprised at all with Yixing's situation. Whether it was the Saints' World or the Tianyuan continent, the strong always preyed on the weak. There would be countless other people in similar predicaments as Yixing across the world. Yixing was extremely polite. The expert before him was someone who did not even fear the ancestor of the Lu family. With Yixing's strength at sainthood, he usually would not even have been bold enough to breathe loudly before someone like that. However, right now, he could not help but muster the courage to carefully observe the senior's reaction. He had taken the initiative to mention the matter of the high-grade divine crystal to make trouble for the Lu family. At the same time, he had another intention, which was for the senior to take him away from here. Otherwise, the Lu family would never forgive him for leaking the matter of the high-grade divine crystals. They would torture him to death in the most brutal fashion possible. However, to Yixing's disappointment, the masked senior before him did nothing after learning this information. Aside from Yixing, all the other miners gathered their look towards Jian Chen hopefully at this moment. Basically, all of them were hoping for Jian Chen to fight the Lu family until both of them became injured, so that they could take advantage of the situation and flee, allowing them to regain their freedom. Jian Chen stood there quietly as the light around him illuminated the depths of the chasm. He seemed as dazzling as the sun. The many miners and guards gathered around them all held their breaths uneasily. Jian Chen had already expanded his soul. Even though this sensory ability was limited in the Saints' World, unable to cover as great of an area as back on the Tianyuan continent, it was still enough to envelop the entire mountain range. The depths of the mountains had already become riddled with tunnels. They crisscrossed with one another and shot off in all directions, basically forming a vast maze that reached into the depths of the earth. However, to prevent the miners from escaping through the tunnels, the Lu family had evidently made sufficient preparations as well. Basically, all the tunnels that reached beyond the dark cloud mountains were blocked off by powerful formations. Even if Origin Realm experts wanted to smash through them, they would need some time, completely locking the miners out of the option of running away. In a single moment, Jian Chen's soul passed through the tunnels of various sizes in the ground. However, the part that made him frown was that his soul would struggle to penetrate any place with divine crystals hidden. Even with the ordinary rocks, his soul could only penetrate an extremely limited depth, preventing him from sensing the divine crystals hidden within the rocks. After all, this was the Saints' World. Any substance that existed here could not be compared to the substances found on the Tianyuan continent. "Yixing, take me to where the high-grade divine crystal was found," said Jian Chen. Yixing's face lit up, and he agreed continuously. He was afraid that a hesitant reply would anger Jian Chen. He soon led Jian Chen off into a tunnel with a nod and a bow. Right after Jian Chen entered the tunnel, the old man and many of the guards became overjoyed. When Jian Chen was present, they did not dare to flee, forcing them to remain as quiet as possible as they could lose their lives at any time. However, once Jian Chen entered a tunnel, their chance of fleeing would arrive. However, just when Jian Chen was about to enter the mines, his feet suddenly came to a halt. With a wave of his hand, the flying snow sword shot out like a bolt of silver lightning. It hovered in the sky with a cold light, resonating from time to time as it caused snow to fall from the sky. "This sword is controlled by my soul. Even if I enter the mines, I'll know what's happening outside. If any of you plan on running..." Jian Chen did not finish his words, but his voice was filled with heavy killing intent, making all the people who had considered fleeing shiver. "Ancestor, oh ancestor, please come quickly," the old man continually pleaded inside. Under Yixing's lead, Jianchen quickly arrived at the location where the high-grade divine crystal had been excavated. It seemed no different to any other place, surrounded in tough rock. Jianchen glanced around before forming a sword with his fingers. Immediately, a silver-white strand of sword qi around the size of a sword emerged, and he stabbed it into the location where the high-grade divine crystal had just been excavated with lightning speed. Before the sword qi, the tough rock was as fragile as paper. Jianchen's sword qi completely penetrated the rock. After bringing it around to form a circle 1 meter wide, he separated it from the other rock in the surroundings and dug out a round pillar that was just as long as his sword qi. Jianchen's gaze stopped on the stone pillar for a while. Next, he quickly carved it up with a strand of sword qi at the tip of his fingers. In the end, he discovered 2 divine crystals the size of pigeon eggs in there. The origin energy hidden within them was enough for Jianchen to waver in thought. High-grade divine crystals. Jianchen gasped, and his face became filled with much joy. If he could excavate high-grade divine crystals so easily, did it not mean that the high-grade divine crystals hidden here had surpassed anything he could imagine? This is a high-grade divine crystal mine. Even though it's only a small one, it's very valuable to us right now. Jianchen, you have to take over this mine no matter what. With these resources, not only will Shenzhen be able to break through, even the body I build will be much better. It might even lead to a perfect body. Fairy Haoyu's voice rang out in Jianchen's head. After arriving in the Saint's world, the Bright Moon Divine Hall had always remained in Jianchen's space ring, and he carried it around with him at all times. Fairy Haoyu had also been working on rebuilding her body in the Bright Moon Divine Hall, except it would take more than just a day or 2 to complete the process. I probably can't take over this mine right now, Jianchen murmured softly. As long as the ancestor of the Lu family remained, it was impossible for him to take over the mine. Then you better return quickly and use the divine crystals you obtained here to help Shenzhen break through. Then you'll be able to eliminate the ancestor of the Lu family and take over the mine here. Fairy Haoyu's voice was filled with a sense of urgency. Although she only required a single strand of origin energy to rebuild her body, it would be the most fragile body in the world. It might not even be as great as a few of the stronger mortals, and would influence the progression of her strength in the future. That was the worst body she could create, as well as the one she was most unwilling to create. After a moment of thought, Jianchen immediately grabbed Yixing and left the tunnel. With a few flashes, he arrived outside again. The flying snow sword remained in the sky, completely preventing anyone from considering fleeing. As a result, not a single miner or guard had gone missing. Jianchen looked at the hopeful miners. After a moment of hesitance, he said, "If you don't want to stay here, hurry up and go. The Lu family will cease to exist without delay, so continuing to serve them is pointless." With that, Jianchen took his flying snow sword and shot off into the sky, while carrying Yixing in one hand. Jianchen had been talking to the miners. What he added at the end was directed toward the guards. Not all the guards were people of the Lu family. Most of them had only been recruited by the Lu family, or had joined the Lu family out of their own free wills in search of an organization to rely on. As expected, what Jianchen said towards the end made the expressions of many of the guards there change. They all became surprised and doubtful. If the Lu family really would cease to exist, were they not looking to die by continuing to serve the Lu family? Meanwhile, as if they had been spared, all the miners flew away excitedly, leaving as quickly as they could. Chapter 1689. The Lu family's response. In the blink of an eye, all the miners the Lu family had forced to work for them left. They did not have any hopes of fleeing the place in the past, as formations enveloped the mountains, and there were a large number of guards. Now that a mysterious god had destroyed most of the formations and even the guards themselves had been stunned, they obviously would not let such a rare opportunity slip through their fingers. They all left in a hurry. Since they managed to reach sainthood or even the origin realm, the miners were obviously not stupid. Although they knew that it was extremely likely that the Lu family would hunt them down for running away, they knew even better that they would not be able to avoid death either if they remained, especially after what had happened in the mountains today. The miners would leak the news that this mine was a mid-grade divine crystal mine, or even a high-grade divine crystal mine. It would cause huge problems for the Liu family, so the Liu family would never spare them. The guards who had reached the origin realm did not chase the fleeing miners. Instead, they stood at the bottom of the chasm in surprise and doubt. Jianchen's previous words had affected them greatly. What are you staring for? Go chase them down. Don't let them escape. If the news of the high-grade divine crystal gets leaked, all of us will suffer the most severe punishments. Only now did the old man return to his senses. He immediately yelled at the surrounding guards. He was worried, and his face was pale. He understood that the clan was probably in trouble now. The surrounding guards all looked at one another. The light in their eyes flickered as they all hesitated. They had become guards of the Liu family, so that they could have something that would shield them, allowing them to cultivate in peace. If the Liu family could no longer shield them anymore, they would not continue serving the Liu family idiotically. In particular, the fact that the Liu family possessed a mid-grade divine crystal mine at the very least, coupled with the warnings from the god, had made them realize that the organization they relied on would probably fall before long. Continuing to serve the Liu family would only cost them their lives in the end. Captain Feng looked around and sighed inside. However, his expression remained the same and he called out coldly, "Pursue, everyone, pursue them." The captain obviously held much more authority in the eyes of the guards than the old man. With his orders, the guards immediately charged into the sky, hurrying off in the direction where the miners had fled off to as quickly as possible. Of course, most of them changed their clothes as quickly as they could as they pursued the miners. They even changed the space rings that they wore, and when they caught up with the flying miners, they did not attack or touch them at all. Instead, they continued onwards without slowing down, directly overtaking the miners and vanishing off into the distance. Of course, there were a few guards who were loyal to the Liu family. They slaughtered as many of the fleeing miners as they could. Obviously, as most of the miners were still at sainthood, they were completely helpless against the massacre from the Origin Realm guards. A large number of them were immediately slain mercilessly. Without delay, 3 tremendous presences suddenly descended on the depths of the chasm. The 3 godhood elders from the Liu family had finally arrived, but they all became stern when they saw the 3 destroyed formations. Greetings to the elders. The captain and the old man who still remained bowed politely. What happened here? One of the elders questioned coldly. Elder, we just found high-grade divine crystals, and then we were attacked by a god. The old man told the entire story without bending any truths. What? You found high-grade divine crystals here? The 3 elders were shocked and became ecstatic. However, their faces became extremely ugly before long. It would have been a tremendous piece of news to the Liu family if the appearance of the high-grade divine crystal had not been leaked. With such a great resource, their clan could completely exceed the 3 other organizations before long, and become the absolute ruler of the region. Even those who resided in the provincial city would not be able to do anything to them. However, now that this news was leaked, it would become a problem for the Liu family, a huge problem. We have to report this matter to the ancestor as soon as possible. We'll leave the god who fled here to the ancestor to deal with. However, all the miners who escaped from here must be eliminated. Even the guards who left our clan cannot remain. Kill them all. We have to keep this matter a secret, an elder said gruffly and immediately reported the matter to the Liu family. Afterwards, the 3 elders did not hesitate at all, personally turning against the miners and guards who had fled. Their souls could cover an extremely vast range, and many of the guards and miners still remained in their area of detection. They could even clearly sense which guards still remained loyal to the Liu family, and which guards had abandoned the clan. At the same time, the patriarch who was in the meeting received the news from the 3 elders as well. His face immediately changed, and he stopped the meeting. He contacted all the elders in the clan through a communication technique. Immediately, the 5 other elders who watched over the clan left their residences and hurried over to the Dark Cloud Mountains as quickly as possible. They also took part in the culling. Godhood elders usually watched over the clan as they formed the peak strength of the clan. Rarely did they ever fight, and even if they did, it would be against opponents of the same strength. They would never touch Origin Realm cultivators, or even weaker cultivators at sainthood in normal times. However, the appearance of high-grade divine crystals in the Dark Cloud Mountains was just too important. All of the elders who usually watched over the clan had been mobilized to cover up the matter. Even though an unknown god had already learnt of the matter, it would still be better the fewer people who knew about this. However, the patriarch did not sit around either. He passed on the news of what had happened in the Dark Cloud Mountains to the ancestor of the Liu family. Currently, the ancestor was flying through the sky. He was on his journey to the royal city. When he received the message from the patriarch, his face suddenly changed as well. He came to a halt as the light in his eyes flickered. After hesitating for a while, the ancestor did not end up returning. He continued towards the royal city. At the same time, he sent a message back to the patriarch of the Liu family. Lock down the information and also look into who that god is. Jianchen traveled away with Yixing. Only after traveling very far away from the Dark Cloud Mountains did he descend on a mountain. He placed Yixing on the ground and said, "This is already the territory of the Mo clan. It's several million kilometers away from the territory of the Liu family. Be careful, and the Liu family will struggle to find you." Yixing bowed towards Jianchen politely and said gratefully, "Thank you for saving my life, senior. Please tell me your name, so if I ever have a day when I become great as well, I can return senior's kindness." "There's no need for that. You told me about the high-grade divine crystals, while I saved you. It's a fair exchange. You can keep these divine crystals for cultivation. It's best if you don't appear in public for now, so that the Liu family can't find you. If nothing goes wrong, the Liu family will cease to exist within the next few years," said Jianchen. At the same time, he gave Yixing a space ring that contained some divine crystals. "Thank you, senior." After separating with Yixing, Jianchen returned to the Mo clan as quickly as he could. In the 7th hall of the Mo clan, Jianchen and Shenjian tidied through the space rings they had received from the miners in the Dark Cloud Mountains. They emptied out the divine crystals inside. Chapter 1690. Distributing the divine crystals. There were over 1,000 space rings, and each one contained quite a few divine crystals. Some had as many as 4,000 to 5,000, while some had as few as a few dozens. Mid-grade divine crystals would appear from time to time as well, but they comprised less than 100 of the total number. After a total count, the end number of low-grade divine crystals from the miners exceeded 900,000, with close to 100 mid-grade divine crystals. With so many divine crystals stacked together, it seemed like a small mountain. To Jianchen and Shenjian, who had only ever possessed a little over 100,000 divine crystals at most, the mountainous pile was clearly a little overwhelming. "I never thought that these divine crystals would come so easily. It has only been how long? Yet we've obtained almost 1,000,000 low-grade divine crystals without much effort at all. Are these divine crystals enough for you to reach mid-deity?" Jianchen looked at Shenjian. Shenjian stared at the pile of divine crystals. He pondered for a while before he replied, "It should be enough." With a flip of his hand, another space ring appeared in Jianchen's palm. He smiled. "If that's not enough, there are more in here. The divine crystals in here might even be enough for you to go from mid-deity to late deity." Shenjian raised an eyebrow when he heard that. He stared at Jianchen in surprise and asked, "Just how many divine crystals did you rob from the Liu family's mine this time? Have a look yourself. All the divine crystals are in here." Jianchen passed the space ring to Shenjian. He had taken this space ring from the old man. As he was the supervisor of the mine, he would gather all the divine crystals from the miners once in a while. After that, he would hand them up to the clan at set intervals. As a result, there were very many divine crystals in the old man's possession. When Shenjian accepted the space ring and looked through the divine crystals in there, he leapt in fright because the amount of low-grade divine crystals inside the ring had reached over a terrifying number of 2,000,000. There were even several hundred mid-grade divine crystals, and even a fist-sized high-grade divine crystal. So many! Shenjian's face immediately changed. In particular, when he saw the fist-sized high-grade divine crystal, he struggled to maintain his composure. The Dark Cloud Mountains are a high-grade divine crystal mine. I believe the various major organizations will learn about this very soon. Even the greater clans in the Dong'an province don't possess high-grade divine crystals, so there'll be a great battle when the time comes. Shen Jian, spend the next few days cultivating. Once we're strong enough, we can try to win over some rights to the mine over the more powerful clans. The mine will be extremely useful to us, so we have to try to obtain the mining rights, Jianchen said. All right, I'll immediately begin my secluded cultivation. My comprehension of laws has already completely exceeded my current cultivation level. I just lacked origin energy. Now that I have these divine crystals, I should be able to break through without delay, said Shenjian. Next, he immediately took close to 1,000,000 low-grade divine crystals with him for cultivation. He devoted himself to increasing his strength. Meanwhile, Jianchen brought the space ring with over 2,000,000 low-grade divine crystals into the Bright Moon Divine Hall. In the Bright Moon Divine Hall, Shangguan Mu'er, Nubis, Xiaojin, Xiaoling, the White Tiger, Rui Jin, Honglian, Heiyu Houston, and so on were all in secluded cultivation. Ever since Jianchen entered the Saints' world, they could clearly sense a change in the laws of the world inside the Bright Moon Divine Hall. As a result, they basically spent their entire time in seclusion. Their strength had all increased evidently. After arriving inside the hall, Jianchen roused everyone from cultivation without any hesitation, gathering them all together. Big brother, when are you going to let us out? I want to see the outside world so much. I want to see if I can find Master. Xiao Ling ran over excitedly when she saw Jianchen and clung onto his arm tightly. The other people all looked towards Jianchen as well, and asked him about the situation outside. The situation outside still hasn't stabilized. There'll be quite a large battle before long, with gods participating. It'll be very difficult to keep yourself safe without strength at godhood, so for now, I can only trouble you all by having you remain in the Bright Moon Divine Hall to cultivate. Jianchen said to everyone. What? There'll be a battle involving gods? Jianchen, you have to be careful. We were still of some help back on the Tianyuan continent, but we can't help you at all in the Saints' world now. Instead, we're just a burden to you. Rui Jin sighed gently. He seemed slightly dejected. Hong Lian and He Yu were not in fantastic spirits either. They were once the supreme experts on the Tianyuan continent, yet they had become a burden instead after coming to the Saints' world. They were even the weakest people within the Bright Moon Divine Hall. They found it very difficult to adapt to the huge change. Jianchen, it's very difficult for us to help you now. You have to be careful in the Saints' world. Don't forget that you're not just fighting for yourself now. If something happens to you, we'll all be doomed in here as well, Shangguan Mu'er said in concern. She was not someone who feared death. She said these words because she hoped that Jianchen would be careful and avoid desperate fights against other people. Jianchen smiled. He asked about everyone's well-being before throwing down 100,000 low-grade divine crystals on the ground. He said, "These divine crystals contain pure origin energy. You can absorb these divine crystals for future cultivation. I believe it won't be long before you reach godhood." What dense origin energy! Everyone's eyes lit up when they sensed the origin energy hidden within the low-grade divine crystals, and they all cried out, "Fantastic! With these divine crystal, my strength will be able to skyrocket." Houston's face was filled with joy. A few of them had managed to reach Saint King on the Tianyuan continent, where origin energy had vanished and the laws of the world were affected, making cultivation extremely difficult. They could be described as prodigies. Now that they had come to the Saints' world where origin energy was abundant and the laws of the world were complete, their improvement would definitely be extremely shocking with the assistance of the divine crystals. Suddenly, there was a flash, and a fist-sized ant-like beast appeared beside the low-grade divine crystals. The beast hovered in the air by beating its wings as it shone with 3 different colors. Its large, intelligent eyes stared at the pile of divine crystals without blinking at all, and seemed to be salivating over the divine crystals. Afterwards, with a flash, it immediately arrived on Jianchen's shoulder, moving extremely quickly. It rubbed its small head gently against Jianchen's cheek, trying to curry up to him. What speed! I failed to sense it at all. Houston sighed in amazement as he stared at the tiny beast. Although the tiny beast had only reached the origin realm recently, Houston felt like if he began to fight seriously against the tiny beast, he would not be its opponent, even with his Empyrean demon arts and the various secret techniques he had grasped. You also want these divine crystals? Jianchen stared at the tiny beast in surprise. Although the seven-colored heaven-devouring beast had yet to assume a human form, it possessed intelligence no less than that of a human adult. It nodded cleverly in response to Jianchen's question as it looked towards Jianchen eagerly. Jianchen smiled. With a wave of his hand, he threw down another 10,000 low-grade divine crystals on the floor and pointed towards them. I'll give you these. The seven-colored heaven-devouring beast's eyes lit up, and it directly inhaled at the pile. The 10,000 divine crystals immediately flew towards its mouth, and the space around the divine crystals pulsed violently. The divine crystals grew smaller and smaller in the pulses of space, and in just a single moment, all the crystals shrunk to a tiny size before the seven-colored heaven-devouring beast devoured it all in a single gulp. Shangguan Moore and everyone else stared at the seven-colored heaven-devouring beast in shock. For them, they needed to absorb the energy within the divine crystals one by one slowly, while the seven-colored heaven-devouring beast had directly gulped down 10,000 divine crystals in a single mouthful. This sight stunned all of them. Chapter 1691. The Liu family's meeting after devouring the 10,000 low-grade divine crystals. The seven-colored heaven-devouring beast continued to stare at Jianchen, as if it had not had enough. Jianchen used his finger to flick the seven-colored heaven-devouring beast's head. He joked, "You sure aren't polite, little guy. Aren't you afraid of eating till you burst?" The seven-colored heaven-devouring beast rubbed against Jianchen's cheek forcefully, and stared at Jianchen pitifully. It clearly wanted more divine crystals from Jianchen. Jianchen, if I've observed correctly, it should be a divine beast. Every single divine beast is blessed by the heavens, and possesses extremely terrifying talent. Both its rate of growth and battle prowess is extremely shocking. You can even describe it as heaven-defying. Only those prodigies of large clans and sects can stand against them with the same level of cultivation. As a matter of fact, many of these prodigies even fall short. If you raise it well, this divine beast will become a very powerful helper in the future. Fairy Hao Yu's voice rang out. It's just a pity that this divine beast refuses to follow me, or I would definitely pour my heart out into raising it. Jianchen smiled gently. At the same time, he glanced at the crystal casket nearby. Even now, he still felt rather doubtful inside, confused as to why the seven-colored heaven-devouring beast had followed Kaya out of its own free will, and it even remained by her side without taking a single step away to protect her while she was unconscious. Although the winged tiger god that was also a divine beast had followed Jianchen, the circumstances were completely different. Back then, Rum Guinness had entrusted the winged tiger god to him before it had even opened its eyes. It had grown with him, going through several trials and tribulations. Without any exaggeration, he could say that he had single-handedly raised the winged tiger god, so their connection would naturally be extremely deep. However, Jianchen refused to believe that Kaya and the seven-colored heaven-devouring beast had gone through something like that in the past before. People have fortuitous encounters that belong to them. Maybe this is Kaya's fortuitous encounter, Jianchen thought. That was the only way he could explain it. You have to take over that high-grade divine crystal mine. I'm in desperate need of origin energy to reconstruct my body. Once I have a perfect body, I'll be able to help you solve some of your problems. Fairy Hao Yu continued. The amount of origin energy she required to reconstruct a perfect body was extremely tremendous. Jianchen had obtained over 1,000,000 low-grade divine crystals, but it was far from enough. I won't give up on the mine because I am in desperate need of high-grade divine crystals for cultivation as well, Jianchen said. He threw another 10,000 low-grade divine crystals to the seven-colored heaven-devouring beast before leaving the Bright Moon Divine Hall. Only after devouring 20,000 low-grade divine crystals did the seven-colored heaven-devouring beast show a sliver of satisfaction. It leaned on the crystal casket and began absorbing the origin energy within the divine crystals, while its presence gradually increased with its constant absorption. It absorbed the crystals so quickly that it shocked everyone in the Bright Moon Divine Hall. Jianchen returned to the 7th hall in the Mo clan. He entered seclusion in another room. Right now, he had not found enough divine crystals for him to make any progress with his chaotic body. If he could not break through, then his strength would not increase at all even if he absorbed all the divine crystals he possessed. At most, it would just make his chaotic Naiden slightly larger. If that was the case, he might as well give the divine crystals to Shenjian. That way the strength on his side could increase the most. Jianchen sat on the ground of the room. Close to 10,000 low-grade divine crystals were stacked beside him. There's a crack in my chaotic Naiden, and because of this crack, I can only use 80% of my strength. However, fixing the crack isn't difficult. I just need enough energy to close it up and make the Naiden perfect again, Jianchen thought. He immediately grabbed a handful of divine crystals and began absorbing the origin energy in them to fix his chaotic Naiden. In the past, without any divine crystals, he would have to spend an extremely long time to fix his chaotic Naiden, just by absorbing the origin energy in the surroundings. As a result, he had always put the matter off. Only after obtaining so many divine crystals from the Lu family's mine did he have the opportunity to fix his chaotic Naiden. As Jianchen mended his chaotic Naiden, the elders of the Lu family who had ventured out to kill the people who had fled all returned to the clan. At this moment, the patriarch and the 8 elders all gathered in a single discussion hall. They were all stern, and they had even enveloped the hall in a powerful formation. They took such measures to prevent anyone from eavesdropping on what they would be discussing. They were extremely cautious. Patriarch, according to the numbers, all the miners and the guards that escaped have been killed, aside from the miner who the suspected god took away. Even the guards who are still loyal to our clan have been isolated. An elder said to the patriarch. The patriarch sat at the end of the table in worry. He sighed gently. The appearance of high-grade divine crystals in the Dark Cloud Mountains should have been something worth celebrating over. It holds much significance to our Lu family. I never thought a mess like this would happen at such a crucial time. Sigh. Right now, what I worry the most about is whether there are any spies sent by other organizations among the guards, and whether those spies have leaked the news of the high-grade divine crystals before we could contain the situation. If they did leak it, we wouldn't be able to keep the mine anymore. I'm actually not concerned about whether that suspected god leaks the news, because it won't bring him any benefits if he does leak it. Patriarch, may I ask if we've discovered the identity of the mysterious expert? An elder asked. The patriarch shook his head. We have limited information regarding the identity of the mysterious expert, apart from the fact that he has comprehended the laws of the sword. And there's only one god in our region who has comprehended the laws of the sword, which is the one from the Atomos sword sect. However, when this god attacked our mine, the sky was filled with snow. This makes it seem unlikely that it is the one from the Atomos sword sect. Of course, we can't just ignore the fact that the Atomos sword sect might be using some method to purposefully mislead us. It's said that when the mysterious expert left, he said that our Lu family would cease to exist before long. Even if the Dark Cloud Mountains are a high-grade divine crystal mine, I don't think those powerful clans will make any trouble for us as long as we just hand it over. Looks like the mysterious expert probably has some disagreements with us, said a red-robed old man. The patriarch shook his head again. That's even more impossible. We've never provoked a god, nor have we offended any organizations with gods. Apart from the whole matter with Lu Fei's betrayal and the Mo clan, I really can't think of any other organization that we've fallen out with. Suddenly, the patriarch's voice paused. A gleam of light flashed through the patriarch's eyes, and he said solemnly, "It's the Mo clan. How could I have forgotten you? Doesn't that mysterious expert from the Mo clan just happen to possess the strength of a god? And he just happens to have comprehended the laws of the sword as well. The ancestor suffered greatly at his hand before." The expressions of the 8 elders all changed slightly. One of them asked, "Is it the Mo clan?" The patriarch of the Lu family snorted coldly. "It's very likely to be them. Apart from the one from the Atomos sword sect, There's only the mysterious expert from the Mo clan who is both a god and has comprehended the laws of the sword. Although there are some discrepancies compared to what the ancestor described, it's possible to make them up with some disguises. Oh right, I suddenly remember that there's a medium-quality saint artifact from the Maple Leaf Pavilion of Maple Leaf City called the Flying Snow Sword. It was forged by Master Xian Nong in the provincial city. It's said that the sword will cause heavy snow when used in battle, said an elder. The patriarch looked towards the elder and asked, Elder Yun, please pay a visit to Maple Leaf City immediately, and check whether the flying snow sword has been sold or not, and whether the buyer is the mysterious expert from the Mo clan. All right, I'll go immediately. Elder Yun immediately rose to his feet and left. Chapter 1692. Investigations. The patriarch did not end the meeting after Elder Yun headed off to Maple Leaf City. He said to the 7 elders who were still seated, Elders, please accompany me as we wait for Elder Yun's news. Without any doubt, the identity of the mysterious god who attacked our divine crystal mine is extremely important to us. The patriarch said extremely politely. The elders all possessed extremely great statuses in the Liu family. Even he, the patriarch of the clan, had to treat them politely. He was unable to forcefully order them to do anything. The elders also understood the severity of the matter, so after exchanging a few more polite words with the patriarch, they closed their eyes. They waited for Elder Yun's return. The next day, Elder Yun returned to the Liu family travel-worn. His return immediately attracted the gazes of the patriarch and the 7 other elders. They all stared at him, and the patriarch asked eagerly, Elder Yun, have you investigated it? Was the flying snow sword from Maple Leaf City bought by the mysterious expert of the Mo clan? This news was extremely important to the Liu family. If the flying snow sword really had ended up in the hands of the Mo clan, they could basically confirm that the mysterious god who attacked the Dark Cloud Mountains was from the Mo clan. Otherwise, it would mean that the Liu family had gained a third god as an enemy. Elder Yun arrived at his seat and sat down. Only then did he speak. I've investigated it thoroughly. The flying snow sword of Maple Leaf City was indeed bought, and the buyer was the Mo clan. The patriarch became relieved when he heard this news. He said, Looks like it was the mysterious expert from the Mo clan who attacked our mine. He was also the person who said that our clan would cease to exist before long. Fortunately, we haven't offended another god. The patriarch glanced past the 8 elders and continued. Although the Mo clan basically has 2 gods now, and they are able to completely crush our Liu family, they won't dare to move against us because they're also afraid that we'll leak the news of God King Duanmu's tomb if they force us to the end of the road. They won't be able to get anything out of a situation like that. However, please do not worry, elders. The days which the Mo clan will continue to exist are limited. Once the ancestor returns, it will be difficult for the Mo clan to avoid destruction even if they have 2 gods. After dispersing the meeting, the patriarch reported the identity of the mysterious expert who attacked the Dark Cloud Mountains to the ancestor as soon as possible. Do not act recklessly. We'll settle our debt with the Mo clan once I return. At the same time, pay close attention to the people that the Mo clan has stationed in the provincial city. I don't wish for the news of God King Duanmu's tomb to be leaked by the people hidden within the city once we spend so much effort in wiping out the Mo clan, ordered the ancestor. At the same time he thought, Mo clan, do you really think that I don't know you've stationed people in the provincial city in the past? It's just a pity that my Liu family has grasped the identities of all the people you've stationed in the city. Don't you think about threatening us with leaking news about God King Duanmu's tomb? There was a very large manor in the provincial city of Dong'an Province. A dignified, middle-aged man in luxurious robes currently sat in a study as he read a book. He was focused, and his brows would furrow from time to time. Patriarch, Johnny wishes to see you. At this moment, a deep voice rang out from outside. The middle-aged man gathered his attention when he heard that. He immediately closed the book and said, Come in. The door to the study was pushed open gently, and a man in black clothes walked in. As soon as he entered the study, The middle-aged man erected a barrier around the entire room with a wave of his hand. He stared at Jean-Yi with much interest and asked, Jean-Yi, what other important news is there? Jean-Yi bowed towards the middle-aged man and said, Patriarch, we've grasped the identities of the two people that the Liu family have been searching for. Shen Jian only broke through to godhood recently, and the two of them currently reside in the Mo clan. He only broke through to godhood recently? Doesn't that mean that this Shen Jian was only at reciprocity before? I don't believe the Liu family will find any interest in an origin realm cultivator for no reason. Jean-Yi, have you understood why the Liu family is searching for the two of them? The middle-aged man asked. Jean-Yi said, we still haven't found out the Liu family's intentions in searching for the two of them yet, but they were saved by the young miss of the Mo clan, Mo Yen, when they were heavily injured. Then recently, Shen Jian broke through to godhood in the Mo clan. The patriarch had even specially erected an elder's residence for him. The two of them were saved by the young miss of the Mo clan while they were heavily injured? Do their wounds have something to do with the Liu family? The middle-aged man murmured as he pondered. Patriarch, I've also learnt that recently Jianchen and Xinjian visited Maple Leaf City and were interested in the flying snow sword, but they did not buy it at that time. Once they left Maple Leaf City, the sword was bought by the Mo clan. And yesterday, the Dark Cloud Mountains of the Liu family was attacked by a mysterious expert that was believed to be a god. The mysterious expert comprehended the laws of the sword, and when he fought, heavy snow began to fall. I've specially investigated this and found out that there are no famous experts who have comprehended the laws of the sword, who are accompanied by snow when they fight. As a result, we can be certain that it was caused by the flying snow sword, said Jean-Yi. The middle-aged man's eyes narrowed. He said, Jean-Yi, are you saying that the mysterious expert who attacked the Dark Cloud Mountains was Jianchen who was saved by the Mo clan? That is only my guess, said Jean-Yi. He paused before continuing. Patriarch, there's something else that's very important that I need to report to you. High-grade divine crystals have appeared in the Liu family's Dark Cloud Mountains. What? High-grade divine crystals? The middle-aged man was stunned before becoming surprised. Low-grade mines basically always produced low-grade divine crystals, while a few mid-grade divine crystals would appear from time to time. However, they numbered extremely few. If high-grade divine crystals could be mined, it would mean that the mine had reached mid-grade at the very least or even high-grade. Has this piece of news been leaked? The middle-aged man immediately asked. He was extremely stern. All the miners from the mountains were slain, as well as a major portion of the guards. The remaining people are all under the Liu family's control, so no one else should know aside from the upper echelon of the Liu family and the suspected god, said Jean-Yi. Good. Jean-Yi, you've done something great. However, we can't let the news of the high-grade divine crystals leak out no matter what. Although the Liu family has locked down the news as well, there still might be ways it can be leaked. So Jean-Yi, I want you to mobilize all the power you can to assist the Liu family in locking down the news of the high-grade divine crystal. You have to ensure that the news does not spread across the province, said the middle-aged man. Don't worry, Patriarch. I understand the severity of the matter, so I've made arrangements long ago, said Jean-Yi. After hesitating slightly, he continued. Patriarch, according to the information I possess, I suspect that the ancestor of the Liu family failed to retrieve the treasure of the Liu family stolen by Liu Fei. Instead, I believe that it has ended up in the hands of Jianchen and Xinjian. It's extremely likely that they battled the ancestor, which was why they became heavily injured in the end, and were saved by the young miss of the Mo clan. This can explain why the Liu family is secretly searching for the two of them. If the person who attacked the Dark Cloud Mountains really is Jianchen, your suspicions are reasonable. He indeed has that power, the middle-aged man said in thought. The light in his eyes flickered, and after thinking some more, he gave Jean-Yi a firm order. Jean-Yi, make the Mo clan a target of heavy surveillance. If the treasure of the Liu family really has ended up in their hands, the Mo clan should possess two pieces now. They only lack the piece from the Ando clan. Chapter 1693. mending the Niden in the blink of an eye. 3 months had passed. During that time, the Mo clan and the Liu family were relatively peaceful. Although the Liu family had confirmed that the person who attacked the mine was from the Mo clan, they did not act recklessly. As a matter of fact, they acted as if nothing had happened at all. However, the Dark Cloud Mountains had become a heavily fortified place for the Liu family. Not only did they repair the formations as quickly as possible, but they even sped up the excavation of the divine crystals. The miners before were basically sainthood cultivators that the Liu family had captured from various places, but now, all the miners were people from the Liu family. Basically, all of them had reached the origin realm, with only a minimal number of sainthood cultivators. With the increase in strength of the miners, the rate at which divine crystals were being excavated became several times faster as well. These people were obviously under the strict surveillance of the Liu family to prevent them from leaking the news. At the same time, a ruddy old man was hiding within the Dark Cloud Mountains. He paid close attention to all the activity in the mines. This old man was the ancestor of the Ando clan, a god in both name and strength. The ancestor of the Liu family was on his journey to the royal city, so he had the ancestor of the Ando clan, Ando Fu, watch over the place. He took this measure to prevent the mine from being attacked by Jianqin again. In the recent days, more and more high-grade divine crystals have been excavated while the number of low-grade divine crystals have only decreased. Looks like it's extremely likely that this mine is high-grade. Even with the entire Dong'an province in perspective, not a single high-grade divine crystal mine has ever appeared. It's just a huge pity that it's impossible for my Ando clan and the Liu family to keep this mine with our strength. The only thing we can do is excavate as many high-grade divine crystals as we can before the mine gets discovered by the more powerful clans in the province. Ando Fu sighed inside. He felt helpless. A high-grade divine crystal mine, even if it was only a small one, was an extremely juicy piece of property in the Dong'an province. It was enough for the greater clans to wage wars with one another. Jianqin slowly opened his eyes as he roused from his cultivation in a room within the 7th hall of the Mo clan. He smiled. After 3 months of cultivation and several 100,000 low-grade divine crystals, he had finally mended the crack in his chaotic Niden, allowing his strength to finally return to its peak. The 9th layer of the chaotic body was equivalent to deity. Even though it was only deity, Jianqin could use the power of the chaotic body and chaotic force, as well as his comprehension of the laws of the sword that had far exceeded deity. As a result, he could fight early gods. Back when he fought against the ancestor of the Liu family, he could only utilize 80% of his strength as his chaotic Niden was damaged. He was only able to hold his ground temporarily, and with great difficulty against the ancestor. Even after drawing the twin swords, he was not the ancestor's opponent in the end. However, now that his chaotic Niden had been repaired, Jianqin was confident that if he faced off against the ancestor of the Liu family again, he would not be dominated like last time even if he could not achieve victory. It's up to Xinjian now. Although Xinjian doesn't cultivate the chaotic body, I feel like the cultivation method he practices is of a great origin as well. His comprehension of the way of the sword is no worse than mine, or maybe it's even greater than mine. Once he reaches mid-deity, he should possess battle prowess comparable to the ancestor of the Liu family as well. At that time, we should be able to kill the ancestor if we work together. He won't be able to escape, Jianqin thought. In reality, ever since Xinjian had reached godhood, even if it was only early deity, their combined strength had already exceeded the ancestor of the Liu families. They had not moved against him yet because they would not be able to anything if the ancestor fled. Even though they were confident about defeating him, only after Xinjian reached mid-deity would they be able to stop the ancestor of the Liu family from fleeing. Jianqin walked out of the 7th hall. He stood at the great doorway and overlooked most of the Mo clan from above. Unknowingly, it had already been a few months since he came to the Mo clan. Yet today was the first time he had properly taken a look at the large estate he had stayed in for so long in. Even in the surroundings of the residence, there was a group of several dozen Origin Realm guards, with 2 peak reciprocity guards at the doorway. They discovered Jianqin the moment he stepped out of the hall. They glanced past him coldly from time to time, revealing a sliver of envy in their gaze as they stared at his back. Due to Jian Chen's cultivation method, even the early god from the Lu family was unable to tell his strength accurately as long as he did not begin fighting. Naturally, no one in the Mo clan knew Jian Chen's true strength. Everyone in the Mo clan only assumed him to be at reciprocity from how he was referred to as brother by Xin Jian before he had reached godhood, as well as the fact that he did not possess the pressure of a godhood expert. Strength at reciprocity was not enough to reside in an elder's hall, so in the eyes of the guards, Jian Chen was completely relying on his relationship with Shen Jian to be able to move through the 7th hall so freely. It would naturally raise the envy of many guards, and some of them even became jealous. This was because every single hall possessed formations. These formations could rapidly gather the surrounding origin energy, so cultivating within an elder's hall would be several times faster than cultivating outside. Of course, cultivating by absorbing the surrounding origin energy would not be able to match up to cultivating through absorbing divine crystals. Brother, may I ask if anything has happened in the recent months? At this moment, Jian Chen clasped his hands towards the 2 peak reciprocity guards at the doorway and asked rather politely, "There hasn't been anything. Everything has been the same." One of the guards replied indifferently. If Shen Jian was asking him instead, he definitely would have responded politely, but as Jian Chen was only a reciprocity cultivator in his eyes, he did not speak too enthusiastically even though he did not want to offend him. Everything is the same? Hasn't the news of the Dark Cloud Mountains been leaked? Jian Chen thought. He found this to be rather unexpected. It's fine if it hasn't been leaked. The longer the fact that the Dark Cloud Mountains are a high-grade divine crystal mine is kept a secret, the more beneficial it is to me, thought Jian Chen. He also desired the divine crystal mine in the Dark Cloud Mountains very much, just that he still did not have the opportunity to take over it. If the news of the mines had been leaked, it would definitely lead to a fight between the more powerful clans in the Dong'an province. Once they took part, he would not be able to hold his ground against them even if he worked together with the ancestor of the Mo clan. This was because the more powerful clans possessed mid and late gods or even peak gods. The Lu family must be rushing their mining operations. It's best if I don't go aggravate them right now. After all, if I make them panic, it'll be no benefit to me if they just decide to take the initiative and offer up the mines to a more powerful clan in the Dong'an province. Chapter 1694. Shiyu breaks through right now. Whether it was the Lu family or Jian Chen, they were all in great need of time. The Lu family needed time to mine as many divine crystals as possible, while Jian Chen needed time to increase the strength on his side. The high-grade divine crystals hidden within the Dark Cloud Mountains were just too valuable. Even with the Lu family locking down the information as much as they could, everyone understood that it was impossible for this matter to remain a secret. One day, the matter would be exposed. By then, it would no longer just be the 4 organizations who would come forth to fight over the mine, but the more powerful clans in the Dong'an province would get involved as well. Looks like claiming that mine won't be easy, Jian Chen thought. With his current strength, he would not be too pressured if he had to fight against early gods. He might even be able to kill early gods when working together with Shen Jian. However, once he came across mid-gods or even late gods, they would not be easy to deal with. Even if he had Shen Jian to work together with, they probably would not be able to defeat late gods. Only if my chaotic body could reach the next layer. The 9th layer of the chaotic body gives me the cultivation equivalent to deity in the saint's world. If I can reach the 10th layer, then I'll become a god. With the chaotic body, I'll be invincible against any opponents with the same cultivation. Even against peak gods, I'll be able to dominate them, Jian Chen thought. However, he also understood that the energy he required for each layer of the chaotic body would be several times, or even a dozen times more than the last layer. The energy required to reach the 10th layer would be extremely terrifying. He would not be able to find the cultivation resources he needed for it in a short amount of time. Even Shen Jian required around 1 million low-grade divine crystals to go from early to mid-deity, and he had no idea just how many low-grade divine crystals he needed to go from mid to late deity. The number of divine crystals required for him to go from late deity to god would be astronomical. Yet to reach the 10th layer of his chaotic body, he would require at least 10 times the amount Xinjian would need to go from deity to god. If I have the mine in the dark cloud mountains all to myself, I should be able to reach the 10th layer of the chaotic body with ease. Jianchen shook his head and no longer thought of the matter. The Dark Cloud Mountains was the only high-grade divine crystal mine that had been discovered in the Dong'an province. Unless he possessed enough strength to fend off all the powerful clans in the entire province, the mine would not be fated to be his. I just hope that the Liu family can excavate as much as possible. I'll directly go find them after Xinjian breaks through. At this moment, the origin energy in the surroundings began to pulse violently. All the origin energy in the surrounding radius of 10,000 kilometers seemed to have been caught in a tremendous suction force, gathering over from all directions and forming a tremendous swirl of energy above the Mo clan in the blink of an eye. It was all sucked away by one of the 7 halls that the elders resided in. The abnormal movements of the origin energy had attracted the attention of everyone in the clan. Whether it was the patriarch or the 5 cultivating elders, all their eyes snapped open, and they emerged from their residences with a flash. They all looked towards the hall where the swirl of energy had condensed over. Jianchen also glanced over. He stared at the hall for a while and murmured, "This Shiyu's talent really is impressive. She has even reached late deity. If you give her some more time, she'll become a god." Not only were gods' existences regarded as ancestors in this region, but they were also peak experts even across the entire Dong'an province. Jianchen had already learnt from the patriarch of the Mo clan that there were no overgods at all in the entire Dong'an province. "Yuer has broken through again." The patriarch smiled happily. The 5 other elders all felt envy inside. Shiyu's talent is just too outstanding. When the patriarch saved her from outside, she was just an infant who had almost lost her life. Back then, I was already at mid-deity, yet now that Shiyu has reached late deity, I'm still stuck at mid-deity. Shiyu has only been cultivating for a little over 2,000 years at most. Although the patriarch used a large number of heavenly resources and other resources to nurture her, her cultivation rate is still really astonishing. It's just a pity that our clan's strength is limited, so we can't provide resources like those large clans and sections. If we sent Shiyu to a large sect, she probably would have become a god long ago with the talent she has displayed and the guidance of a master. The elders of the Mo clan all sighed in amazement. They all experienced some regret. They all believed that having Shiyu remain in the Mo clan was just spoiling her talent. The swirl of energy above Shiyu's residence only gradually dispersed after a few hours. A while later, the door to the residence slowly opened, and Shiyu slowly walked out in white clothes. "Congratulations, Elder Shiyu, on breaking through and reaching a new level of cultivation." Jianchen clasped his hands towards Shiyu and congratulated her from the bottom of his heart. "Haha, Shiyu, you've shaken all of us off your tail now. We're no longer as great as you now." The 5 other elders all came up to congratulate her as well. They all smiled, experiencing joy from the bottom of their hearts. "Sister Shiyu, you've become more powerful again. I knew sister would be the most powerful." Mo Yen and the patriarch of the Mo clan walked over from afar. Shiyu nodded indifferently towards Jianchen before conversing with the other elders. She smiled as she spoke and was rather polite. Jianchen paid no heed to Shiyu's attitude. After congratulating her, he turned around and left, walking past the patriarch. The patriarch clasped his fist politely towards Jianchen. He also understood that unless he exposed his strength at godhood, no one in the Mo clan would place any particular focus on him. The patriarch was only polite to him because of Xinjian. This was because the Mo clan did not lack origin realm cultivators. They did not even place much importance on peak reciprocity cultivators unless they broke through to godhood. Although peak reciprocity was only a single step away from godhood, the step was as wide as a chasm. It had stopped countless peak reciprocity cultivators. There were even many peak reciprocity cultivators who would never be able to comprehend laws and reach godhood, passing away from old age in the end. Obviously, Jianchen would not purposefully expose his strength. just to obtain some status in the Mo clan. Jianchen, you've emerged too? I've come looking for you so many times, but every time, the guard said you were in seclusion. Mo Yin naturally discovered Jianchen and said happily. Her eyes then swiveled, and she seemed to think of something. She looked at him strangely and whispered, now that Sister Shiyu has broken through, you've emerged. Tell me honestly, have you secretly fallen in love with Sister Shiyu? Chapter 1695. The young master of the Audiobook sword sect Jianchen shook his head bitterly in response. This girl's imagination really could run wild. Yenner, do not be rude. The patriarch lectured from one side. He was stern, making him seem extremely strict. Mo Yin stuck out her tongue and said cleverly, Dad's angry, so I won't say any more. But Jianchen, you really have to try harder and break through to godhood as soon as possible. Only once you become a deity, do you have the right to pursue Sister Shiyu. Throwing that down, Mo Yin followed the patriarch toward Shiyu. Jianchen smiled indifferently as he stared at Mo Yan's back before walking toward Shunjian's residence with his hands on his back. He paid no mind to Mo Yan's words. At this moment, Jianchen's eyes narrowed, and he turned his head towards the entrance of the Mo clan. At this moment, a golden carriage quickly flew towards the Mo clan from afar. 6 horse-like beasts were towing the carriage at the front as they flapped their wings and flew through space quickly. Even though the beasts were only as strong as Saint Emperors, they were no slower than cultivators of the Origin Realm. There were 20 guards in white clothes who had all reached the Origin Realm on the 2 sides of the carriage. All their clothes bore a symbol that seemed like a small, golden sword. The golden carriage shot over quickly, descending outside the main entrance of the Mo clan very soon. The leading guard immediately said to the guards of the Mo clan, the young master of the Audiobook sword sect has come to visit. Why haven't you reported it? A guard dared not to tarry, and he immediately ran into the clan to pass on the message. The patriarch and the elders of the Mo clan were still congratulating Shiyu on her breakthrough. When the golden carriage approached the Mo clan, Shiyu frowned slightly. She said, Father, the young master from the Audiobook sword sect has come again. Mo Yan's face changed drastically when she heard that. She asked hurriedly, What? That Yu-Fan person has come again? No, we can't let him into the Mo clan. I hate him to death. Dad, please chase him away. The patriarch sighed gently and said plainly, Let the young master in. Although the patriarch did not speak very loudly, it was transmitted across several kilometers clearly, and his words were heard by the guard who had scurried over. The arrival of the young master of the Audiobook sword sect did not need any reporting at all. All the godhood experts in the Mo clan would sense him as soon as he approached the clan. Very soon, a young man who seemed to be in his 20s entered the Mo clan with his chest held high. He was dressed in luxurious, white robes and was rather handsome, except he seemed a little sickly pale. His gaze was dull, without any light. His eyes also seemed to carry some perverted intent. Beside the young man were 2 middle-aged followers. Both of them gave off tremendous presences, and they walked boldly. They possessed the pressure that was only present on godhood experts as they walked beside the young man. Behind them were 20 reciprocity guards. They were all expressionless and cold. The elders all watched the group of people approach them calmly. Only Shiyu frowned as she looked at the young man with some disgust. As for Mo Yan, her face had completely sunk. Greetings to Uncle Mo and Sister Shiyu. The young man arrived before the patriarch and bowed towards the patriarch and Shiyu. Pa, who's your Uncle Mo? And who's your Sister Shiyu? Yu-Fan, who do you think you are? Listen up, you call my father patriarch, and you can't call Sister Shiyu like that. You should be calling her Elder Shiyu, or Elder Shi, do you understand? Mo Yen stood with her hands on her hips as she lectured the young man sternly. The young man did not become angered. He smiled charmingly at Mo Yen and said, Sister Mo Yen is still so short-tempered. Bah. Who's your sister? Who's your sister? Mo Yen almost leapt up. Due to her anger, her face had become rather red. Yenner, he's a guest. How can you be so rude? What did I teach you in the past? The patriarch glared at Mo Yen with a frown. Mo Yin snorted coldly and said nothing more with a sunken face. It's fine, it's no problem at all. Uncle Mo, Sister Mo Yan's just like that. It's not her fault, it's not her fault, said the young man with a charming smile. His gaze was focused on Mo Yin most of the time, and his dull eyes would reveal a perverted emotion from time to time. Even though he hid it very well, he was still unable to hide it from the elders of the Mo clan. The elders all disliked this young man, but they did not dare to offend him too much as he was the young master of the Automo sword sect. The patriarch looked towards the two middle-aged men beside the young master, and clasped his hands. He said, I never thought that elders Mo Shan and Mo Yun would come as well. Please come with me to the hall. Mo Shan and Mo Yun clasped their hands towards the patriarch at the same time. Mo Shan said, fair enough. Patriarch, you must understand our intentions for coming today. Let's discuss in detail in the hall. Afterwards he said to the young master, You Fan, we've got matters to discuss with the patriarch. Seeing how it has been quite some time since you've seen the young miss, why don't you spend some time with her and catch up? Okay, Uncle Shan. Yu Fan replied politely. He was very excited. You are come with me. Yenner, receive the young master well. Do you understand? The patriarch said that before leaving with Shi Yu, Mo Shan, and Mo Yun for the discussion hall. All the other elders of the Mo clan returned to their own residences. Is that the young master of the Automo sword sect? Jianchen saw everything from afar. He shook his head secretly and continued toward Shunjian's residence. After the patriarch and the two elders from the Automo sword sect left, the young master said to Mo Yen eagerly, Sister Mo Yen, let's go as well. I came in a hurry last time, and also left in a hurry. You haven't even taken me on a proper stroll around the Mo clan. I heard that the sea of flowers in your clan's gardens is extremely pretty. You have to take me there this time. Mo Yen lowered her head and seemed to lose interest completely. The young master was handsome, but Mo Yen was not interested in him at all. Instead, she disliked him very much. In fact, she would be filled with disgust whenever she saw him. However, her father had already told her to receive the young master well. She did not dare to refuse what her father said and just abandon Yu Fan. After all, she still held quite some respect for her father. At this moment, Mo Yen saw Jian Chun, who was walking away. Her eyes immediately lit up, and she called out, Jian Chun. Chapter 1696. The sea of flowers. Jian Chun stopped and turned around to look at Mo Yen, who had run over. He seemed to be in thought. Mo Yen ran over to Jian Chun. With a sad frown, she looked at Jian Chun pitifully and said, Jian Chun, I'm in trouble. Can you help me? Jian Chun smiled and glanced at the young master in the distance. He said, Sure, tell me how I can help you. Do you want me to chase away that young master? Jian Chun agreed extremely straightforwardly. After all, Mo Yen had saved he and Xin Jian when they were outside before. So Jian Chun had always felt some gratitude towards her. It was not like it was anything difficult for him to help her with the problem right now anyway. Moreover, he could tell with a single glance that the young master was up to no good. He naturally did not want Mo Yen to be harassed by him. Mo Yen immediately leapt in fright when she heard that Jian Chun would chase away the young master. She whispered, No, don't. You can't do that. He's the young master of the Automo sword sect after all. He has quite the status, so you can't offend him. He's not a kind-hearted person just because he doesn't get mad at me. If people provoke him and they don't have a certain background, he'll never let them go. Then how do you want me to help you? Jian Chun asked with a smile. Mo Yen tilted her head in thought and said, Dad wants me to receive him properly, so I obviously can't just abandon him. But I don't want to be alone with him. Why don't you come with me as my friend? If you can do that, I think Yu Fan will understand and not always stick around me. Sister Yenner, who's this? Why don't you introduce him to me? At this moment, the young master walked over. He smiled brightly, but his gaze was cold and rather envious when he glanced at Jian Chun. Why have I never heard of this person before? Not only is he more handsome than me, but he also possesses a certain level of determination that I don't possess. God damn it. This type of presence can encapture the hearts of girls the easiest. Why don't I have it? Why? The young master grumbled inside. He had already been comparing himself to Jianchen secretly, and discovered that he paled in comparison in all aspects apart from his background. Mo Yin frowned. She stared at Yu Fan impatiently and said coldly, Yu Fan, how many times do I have to tell you? Don't call me Sister Yenner. Only Jianchen can call me Sister Yenner and no one else. Yu Fan gritted his teeth and looked at Jianchen with much hostility. He asked arrogantly, Is this Jianchen? Jianchen, may I ask which clan you come from? And why has my sect never heard of you? Yu Fan directly referred to his father's sect as his in attempt to dominate Jianchen. Jianchen remained composed. He smiled gently. I'm only a nameless independent cultivator, so it's natural for the young master to have not heard of me. Yu Fan let out a breath of relief inside after learning that Jianchen was just a nameless cultivator. He naturally would not place any particular attention on a nameless cultivator, nor did he believe that a nameless cultivator could steal the young lady of the Mo clan away from him. But Sister Yenner really does treat Jianchen closely. Otherwise, why would she say that only he can refer to her as Sister Yenner? You're just a puny independent cultivator. And yet you want to go against me. I'll shut you up forever in a few days. Yu Fan sneered inside and a hostile light flickered through his dull eyes. However, his expression did not change at all. His smile remained the same, and he said to Mo Yen, Sister Mo Yen, let's go check out the Sea of Flowers in the Mo clan instead. A sliver of disgust appeared in Mo Yan's eyes. She glanced at Jianchen before immediately forcing out a smile. Let's go, Jianchen. Let's go see the Sea of Flowers. The Sea of Flowers is the prettiest and most beautiful place in our Mo clan. It's said that my mother personally tended to it. Mo Yan's face became gloomy as soon as she mentioned her mother. There was also some sorrow and pain. Mo Yan, Jianchen, and Yu Fan arrived in the Sea of Flowers within the Mo clan. As the name suggested, the Sea of Flowers was a sea composed of various precious and rare flowers. A dense fragrance would surge forth when they approached the area. As all the flowers planted there were nothing short of extraordinary. The mixture of their fragrances was extraordinary as well. With just a single whiff, it could calm the souls of people and fill them with comfort all over. Look, Jianchen. These are white spirit flowers. These are red moon flowers. These are sun-facing flowers, while these are turad flowers. I heard from my father that they were all brought into the clan by my mother, who planted them personally here. Along the way, Mo Yin introduced all the flowers planted there enthusiastically. She smiled brightly, except there was a smear of sorrow within her smile. As for the young master, Mo Yin had directly ignored him. Originally, he had asked Mo Yin to take him to see the Sea of Flowers. Yet Mo Yin had completely placed her attention on Jianchen, whether intentionally or otherwise. She did not even glance at him. Originally, he thought that Jianchen was just Mo Yan's attendant at most, yet he discovered that he seemed to have become the attendant instead. Yu Fan's face became more and more sunken, while his gaze towards Jianchen became colder and colder. He had even revealed a heavy killing intent. Yu Fan's killing intent obviously could not be hidden from Jianchen, which made him smile bitterly and helplessly. Mo Yin was still inexperienced after all. Although she could come up with a lot of strange ideas, she was still unable to consider everything with her thoughts. Even if she wanted to find a scapegoat, she had to think it through. Fortunately, she had chosen him. Otherwise, if she had chosen someone else who was not as important as the young master, her actions would have basically led them to their deaths. Yu Fan could no longer endure it any longer. Although he was filled with fury and killing intent towards Jianchen, he still maintained his appearance as a young master before Mo Yin, forcefully restraining his unhappiness. He said, Sister Mo Yin, I've already seen enough of the Sea of Flowers. Why don't we spar with the sword? Let's see whether the precision sword style of your Mo clan, or the Otomo sword style of my Otomo sword sect is better. I heard that in the past, my father and your father sparred many times and they used the precision sword style and Otomo sword style. They wanted to see who was stronger, but it was a draw in the end, unfortunately. Chapter 1697. Sparring with swords. Sparring with swords? I'm not interested. Emo Yin did not even consider it. She directly turned him down. She hated weapons. There has always been a rumor outside that the precision sword style of your Mo clan is not as great as the Atomos sword style of our Atomos sword sect. In the past, your father was able to reach a stalemate against mine was not because of the power of your precision sword style, but because your father knew a 4th grade truth tier battle skill. Yu Fan continued. His gaze was already rather cold. He did not mind Mo Yan's coldness towards him because she treated him like this every time. He had already grown accustomed to it when considering Mo Yan's status. However, he was unable to endure her acting so enthusiastically towards another man who was more handsome than himself while completely ignoring him. Mo Yan glared at Yu Fan after hearing his words. She called out coldly, "Who said that our precision sword style isn't as great as your Atomos sword style? Yu Fan, isn't it just sparring with the sword? Sure, I'll take you on. Let's see whether our precision sword style or your Atomos sword style is better." Jianchen shook his head secretly to one side. He really had nothing to say, seeing how easily Mo Yin had been goaded. Mo Yin is going to suffer. However, it's not like something like this is bad for her. Jianchen did not step in. Mo Yan's personality really did need to be properly fixed. She would naturally be fine as long as she remained in the Mo clan right now, but if she went out to the outside world, survival would be a great struggle. Seeing that Mo Yin had actually agreed, Yu Fan secretly celebrated. Then he turned to Jianchen and said coldly, "Sister Mo Yin and I are sparring, so you better stand far away. If you secretly learn my sword style, my sect will never spare you." Jianchen rubbed his nose. After warning Mo Yin to be careful, he directly walked away to one side. The 20 guards who had always followed behind the young master stood far away as well. In the end, they walked towards Jianchen and stood with him. Jianchen dismissed all the female servants and guards in the Sea of Flowers. They could not allow anyone to spectate their spar up close, just in case they decided to pick up a few moves. "Brother, how would I refer to you?" A disciple from the Atomos sword sect greeted Jianchen. He was not very old, and he only seemed to be in his 30s from his appearance. However, that was just his appearance. In reality, he had already cultivated for who knew how long. "Jianchen." Jianchen clasped his hands and responded plainly, "My name is Zhou Bing. You can call me Senior Zhou Bing. However, Jianchen, I must remind you out of good intentions that during the spar between the young master and the young lady, it's best if we don't interfere. No matter what happens, we have to act like we know nothing, understood?" Zhou Bing said with hidden meaning. Jianchen frowned when he heard that. He snorted coldly. "If it's only a spar and no injuries or deaths happen, I naturally wouldn't interfere in anything. After all, ordinary sparring is good for Mo Yin as well. However, I'll have to do something if anything beyond sparring happens." Zhou Bing's face changed slightly, and the 19 other disciples immediately moved. They had surrounded Jianchen, and they all appeared to be rather hostile. "Jianchen, that's the young master of the Atomos sword sect and the young lady of the Mo clan. Are you sure that you have the power as an independent cultivator to interfere? You should listen to me and act like nothing has happened at all. Even if something really does happen, it'll be the problem between our Atomos sword sect and the Mo clan. It won't have anything to do with you." Zhou Bing said sincerely as if he was thinking for Jianchen. Jianchen glanced past the disciples who surrounded him and smiled coldly with his arms crossed. "I'd still recommend you to tell your young master to not go overboard when sparring. I'm also considering for you by saying this. After all, you won't be any better off if anything happened to the young master as his guards. You don't have to worry about that, brother Jianchen. Even in the Mo clan, there is no one who dares to touch the young master." Zhou Bing forced out a smile. Mo Yin had already begun fighting against Zhou Fan. A reciprocity guard had already cast down a barrier around their location to prevent the shockwaves of their spar from destroying the Sea of Flowers. As they were both at sainthood, they did not need to worry about their battle destroying the barrier. The two who sparred showed what they had. They both used the techniques from their styles. The precision sword style of the Mo clan and the Atomos sword style of the Atomos sword sect clashed together. resulting in streams of energy. Jianchen watched this from afar. After conversing with Zhou Bing, he had already realized that this spar might not be as simple as it seemed on the surface. Zhou Fan's strength is not great, and his battle intent or skills aren't fantastic either, but he's clearly much stronger than Mo Yan. What is Mo Yan doing? That's not how you use a sword. Is she using a sword or a blade? She's just swinging it randomly. How is that the precision sword style? It seems more like a blade style to me, no, an axe style. That's a sword, not a spear. Why is she using the sword as a spear? Jianchen had no idea how to react as he watched Mo Yan use the sword. He had no idea how to analyze it. Mo Yan's skills with the sword were just horrendous. She did not even have the foundations for the sword. Although Mo Yan and Yu Fan were of the same cultivation level, Mo Yan's skill with the sword and experience in battle were nowhere near Yu Fan's, so Mo Yan completely lost the upper hand before long. Very soon, she was forced into a flurry by Yu Fan. Rip. At this moment, Yu Fan's sword chi swept past and Mo Yan's right sleeve was immediately ripped off, revealing her white arm. Mo Yan gritted her teeth and did her best to fend off Yu Fan's attacks. Yu Fan's perversion was agitated when he saw Mo Yan's white arm, and he revealed a perverted look. He stabbed out a few times, and he cut through Mo Yan's clothes each time, reducing her clothes to tatters immediately. It revealed large areas of her skin. Her clothes no longer covered her body. You're shameless. Mo Yan was furious. To one side, Jianchen's face had sunken as well. With a cold snort, he directly stood up. Brother Jianchen, it's best if we wait here patiently. There are some matters that we can't interfere in. Zhou Bing stood up as well and said sincerely to Jianchen. At the same time, the 19 other disciples all surrounded Jianchen with hostility. Sister Mo Yan, you have to be careful. This move is called the gentleman strikes out with his divine sword. The peach blossoms on the mountain bloom. Yu Fan smiled like a pervert as he directly tried to remove Mo Yan's inner garment with a single strike. Powerful killing intent flickered through Jianchen's eyes. He directly hurled a punch at Zhou Bing's chest. Although he was at reciprocity, he was still unable to withstand a single attack from Jianchen. He could not even react to Jianchen's punch, and blood spurted from his mouth as he was blown away like a cannonball. There were 3 other disciples around Zhou Bing. When Zhou Bing collided into them, the 3 disciples all vomited blood and were blown away as well. Cracks rang out from all over their bodies, and their bones were broken. At this moment, when Yu Fan's sword was only an inch away from Mo Yan's inner garment, Mo Yan began to pale and panic. From afar, Jianchen's gaze was cold. He did not hide his heavy killing intent at all. He directly extended a finger towards Yu Fan from far away. His movement immediately produced a silver-white sword chi that flew out with a flash. The sword chi moved extremely quickly, more than 100 times faster than Yu Fan's sword. It struck the barrier around the 2 of them in a single moment. The barrier was as fragile as ice before the sword chi. As a matter of fact, it was as if it did not exist at all, shattering instantly. The sword chi continued onwards without slowing at all, shooting towards Yu Fan's sword with lightning speed. Chapter 1698. I'll take your arm, ding. The sword chi struck Yu Fan's sword and caused the sword to resonate crisply. It had been directly knocked aside. Yu Fan also felt an indescribably tremendous force in his sword when the sword chi collided with his weapon. It surged up his right up wildly, immediately making his arm throb violently. He could not help but cry out miserably. At the same time, the blood had completely drained out of his sickly, white face. Yu Fan's cry was astonishingly loud. It rang across most of the clan while his entire right arm had already completely vanished. There was only a mess of flesh and blood on the ground now. Young master. Before the Origin Realm guards could return to their senses from the shock of Jianchen's punch, they were startled back to their senses by Yu Fan's cry. When they saw Yu Fan in the distance, their faces all changed, and they ran over as quickly as possible. Go fetch the 2 elders. Immediately, a disciple of the Otomo's sword sect cried out in a panic. The young master had lost an arm under their watch. They simply could not imagine just how severe their punishment would be once they returned. This was because they all knew just how much the sect master spoilt the young master. Although he did not grow up to amount to anything great, he was still the sect master's beloved and only son. What happened? At this moment, a rather heavy voice rang out. The two elders of the Atomos sword sect made their way over from afar with broad steps. They easily crossed several hundred meters with each step, so they arrived before Yufan with just a few steps. The patriarch and Shiyu arrived as well. They arrived before Mo Yin slightly faster than the two elders. Their faces became completely sunken when they saw how Mo Yin had almost become completely naked. Sob sister Shiyu. Mo Yin threw herself into Shiyu's chest. Her eyes had reddened, and she cried aloud. She cried extremely sadly, and she was filled with a sense of being wronged. Since a young age, she had basically been treasured by people wherever she went. She had never been bullied, so she had never felt so abused before. Shiyu hugged the sorrowful Mo Yin tenderly. Her face was terrifyingly sunken while heavy killing intent had appeared in her eyes. She did not try to hide her killing intent at all, allowing the two elders to sense it clearly. Don't be scared. With Sister Shiyu here, no one can harm you. If they even touch a hair on you, I'll immediately cripple them. Shiyu gnashed her teeth, basically placing stress on every single syllable. Seeing how Mo Yin had almost been stripped bare, she had become truly angered. The patriarch stood to one side with a sunken face silently. His gaze was also extremely cold. He stared at the severed arm that belonged to the young master of the Atomos sword sect, and felt secretly surprised. He could obviously tell with his insight that Yufan's arm had not been cut off but forcefully ripped off by an extremely great force. The force had reduced his arm to meat paste. This Jianchen is pretty powerful. He has already mastered his usage of sword chi. Looks like he's an expert of the sword, thought the patriarch. However, just this was not enough for him to tell whether Jianchen was at reciprocity or godhood. However, he was unable to see Jianchen's strength. Just from the vague presence he gave off, Jianchen seemed to be at reciprocity, yet not at the same time. He also seemed to be at godhood, but he did not appear to be at godhood either. In the end, he had discerned Jianchen's strength to be at the origin realm, because of how Xinjian referred to him as brother before Xinjian had broken through. Mo Shan and Mo Yin naturally heard Shiyu's vicious words. The two of them understood that although she said these words to comfort Mo Yin, she was actually directing it towards the two of them. However, the two elders were in no mood to pay any attention to Shiyu's threats. They stared at Yufan's severed arm, and their faces were rather ugly. Although Yufan had gone rather overboard, he was still the young master of the Atomos sword sect. Even if he had gone slightly overboard, there was no need to remove his arm. Yufan represented the Atomos sword sect after all. The Mo clan was basically slapping the Atomos sword sect's face by treating the young master so brutally. Greetings to the two elders. The 17 disciples who stood around Jianchen all ran over. They all felt unsettled and dread covered their faces. I got you to protect the young sect master properly, so how has he become like this? You must know how important the young master is to the sect master. We can't afford anything to let anything happen to him, but now you've done it. He has lost an entire arm. Tell me, how are we supposed to explain this to the sect master? How are we going to calm the sect master down from his rage? Elder Mo Yin lectured furiously. He placed particular focus on the sect master's rage. He was scolding the disciples of the Atomos sword sect, but he was really just reminding the Mo clan of the young master's status in the Atomos sword sect, hinting that they needed to give a satisfying explanation over how injured the young master had become. Otherwise, it would directly affect the friendship between the two organizations. The patriarch of the Mo clan frowned. He could obviously tell what Elder Mo Yin was trying to imply, but he did not say anything. Now that the Mo clan was about to face the pressures from the Liu family and the Ando clan, he could not afford to become enemies with the Atomos sword sect at a time like this. Shiyu's eyes had almost begun to burn with flames of fury. However, she also felt a deep sense of helplessness. She was tempted to kill Yufan with a single stroke after seeing how much abuse Mo Yin had suffered, But her rational mind told her that she could not do that. Why aren't I a god? If I'm a god, would there still be any need for our Emo clan to place so much emphasis on the Otomo sword sect? If I was a god, the Otomo sword sect wouldn't dare to say anything even if I kill you, Fan. She thought with self-blame. She only resented the fact that she could not cultivate faster. Speak, who injured the young master? Seeing that his words were effective, Emo Yin immediately stopped worrying. His tone changed and became extremely direct. He glared at everyone. Jian Chen walked over from afar steadily. He stared at the two elders indifferent and said easily, I injured him. Emo Shang glared at Jian Chen and asked coldly, And who are you? Don't you know what status the person you just injured possesses? It doesn't matter who he is. You have to come back to the sect with us, so that you can be judged by the sect master. You cut off the young master's arm after all. That's a heinous crime, Elder Emo Yin said coldly. Then he turned to the patriarch of the Emo clan and clasped his fist. I believe the patriarch should have no problems with us taking this person back with us, right? You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.